Welcome. You're listening to the 27th Hour with Junior
and Dre Rocker.
Get ready, strap in, and hang on. Okay, we're on the right track. So you good? You guys find the game. I don't know. Welcome back to the show.
And here we are. How is everybody doing?
Good, thanks.
We have us a crew in here today.
Yeah, 4 of us.
We have Stephanie. What episode was you? Do you remember what episode that was? That was one of the first few.
Yeah, I think it was.
Dude, that was a good show. That was like a year ago.
It was a year ago.
And life is flip-flopped. You're busy.
Yeah, I'm busy.
Like how busy?
Well, the last show, I said that I was good with not having grandkids, and I've had one since.
You're a grandma. Nice, congratulations.
I know.
You're old now, bro. You've officially hit the old mark.
I know.
Oh my God, you're not old enough.
I'm not old enough.
How young are you, old?
So tomorrow I'll be 42.
Jesus.
Wow. Happy birthday.
Thank you.
Happy birthday tomorrow. You don't look at that 42.
Oh, thank you.
Kind of like the one behind you. She does the same thing. I don't get how some of you go that way. Most of us go the other way. I definitely go the gray hair way. Here we go. Episode. What episode is that, Dre? Number 14.
Whoa.
Yeah.
That was a year ago. Congrats.
That was fun, huh?
Yeah.
That was in the basement.
Yeah.
Wasn't it? I'm pretty sure,
Yeah,
isn't
it
it?
was.
Yeah, bro.
It was.
I'm pretty sure we were in the basement.
I'm pretty sure you were, because when I looked on YouTube, none of this was going on.
This was not there.
I didn't expect any of this when I walked in the door.
Stephanie, introduce me to your friends.
This is Joel.
Look at you right there. Hey-o.
Yikes.
Who we got? Who is it?
This is Joel.
Joel.
Joel, nice to meet you.
Nice to meet you, Joel.
Cami.
Cammy.
Yep.
Cami.
Cami. Yeah.
Nice to meet you guys. Thanks for coming.
You too. Yeah. Thanks for
How do you
having
know
us.
these young, beautiful people?
So Joel and I did a transaction together. He's a realtor as well. And we just got to talking about different things, and I don't know.
We had a couple long conversations that had nothing to do with real estate.
Yeah, nothing to do.
That's what you do at work. You don't talk about work.
No,
If you
know,
can't. You can't. It's a thing.
the market's, batshit crazy. So when you find people that like you can have a real conversation with, you just tend to have real
grab that.
conversations. Yeah.
It's like raising kids. Just like if you're around kids all day, you just want to talk to an adult kind of thing.
Yeah.
Yeah. We just started talking about traumas, stuff like that.
Yeah, just normal shit that you would talk about in a transaction.
Not even close to normal, I'm thinking. It got deep and cool and
Yeah.
Yeah.
very Stephanie-like.
Yeah.
As I'm sure you guys are as well. But yeah, isn't that funny how you find that? You ever notice? You find that it like comes.
It's an attraction. You just,
If somebody's gonna say
Happens.
something to somebody like one of you, it's a thing. There's a thought. You gotta have a minute.
yeah.
Like this is gonna take a minute. I know it is.
Yeah. No, he had a lot of cool things to say, and he, explained a lot of things that, not that really that Cammy's been through, but that she's experienced, I guess. I don't know.
Yeah. So I'm like,
Are you ready
I'm
to-
like, do you want me to just jump in?
Are you ready to dive in?
I'll just
All eyes on
dive
you.
in.
Yeah. Tell us about what's happening here. I'm
Yeah.
interested.
So I pretty much was tortured as a child from the time that I was an infant until I was about 12 years old.
Tortured.
Tortured in just about every way that you could imagine. So
From
my mom, yeah.
people. Oh.
Yeah. So, everything from severe child abuse to, sexual trauma to she used food as punishment, so we didn't get fed, medical neglect, that type of thing. And if I wasn't being tortured, I was watching my siblings get tortured. So it was incredibly traumatic.
How many was you?
There were 5 of us kids.
They were all getting
Yeah, for the
All of
most
you.
part. Well, all of us but my youngest brother.
from your mother.
From my mom, yeah.
Where was your father at?
Yeah, so from the outside, it's an interesting story because from the outside, looking in, we were very religious. My parents were very religious. My mom appeared to be a good mom. My dad was going to medical school and then did his residency in Rochester, Minnesota. So he wasn't around very often.
Single mom, raising the not single.
Yeah,
Mom
sort of.
raising the kids.
Yeah, raising the kids, and had just her own massive psychological issues that she was just projecting onto us children.
Damn.
Yeah, so from the time I was 3, I started to become pretty obsessed with death. And by the time I was 9, I had all kinds of suicidal ideations. In 16, it was the first time that I attempted suicide.
Wow.
Yeah, so pretty heavy, right? To just
I had-
jump right in. Yeah, but I mean, yeah, by the time I was, so I'm 45, so by the time I was,
Thank you for being here.
yeah, thank you.
God, thank you for
After
being
we
here.
got married, she was like, "Yeah, I don't really expect to live past 34." And I'm like, "What? Like,
Yeah.
you couldn't have told me this before
That is-
I proposed?"
That's truly unbelievable.
Yeah, I had an obsession with death.
Wanting to die.
Yeah, like it was almost, and towards the end, when I was 37 years old. So let me back up just a little bit.
Yeah.
So by the time I was 37 years old, I had, complex case of post-traumatic stress, anxiety, depression, all that fun stuff. I had been an alcoholic for a better part of 10 years. At that point, I was morbidly obese. And of course, just had all kinds of suicidal ideations and tendencies. Really, at that point.
At 16?
Well, no, this is by the time I was 37.
Oh, okay,
Yeah,
okay.
'cause I'm 45 now, so
Gotcha.
I was 37, and I really felt hopeless. I just got to a point when I was 37 where it wasn't that I wanted to die; I needed to die, and well, and I had tried. I think that year, that was in 2013. And about the tail end of 2013, Joel one day, he brought in a laptop, he plopped it in my lap, and he said, "I want you to watch this." It's kind of like a podcast, right?
So you must have had therapy, and you've grown,
Oh,
you've
yeah.
healed, and you found a husband.
Yeah, yeah.
Is that
So
in the meantime,
so
of
I
all that?
got married at 19. I
Okay.
was divorced by 25. I'd had 2 kids by the time I was 25. Divorced at 25. I went to enrolled in college, so I was going to school full time. I was working full time as a janitor, just trying to, make ends meet.
Still struggling, not even knowing what's in your head. You just,
Yep.
Wow.
Yep. And it really wasn't until I was 23 when I had had my daughter that it was just like all of the trauma and the abuse came back and really began to really kind of haunt me. I met Joel when I was 27. Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Yep.
27.
it's our favorite number.
Yeah. Oh yeah. It is. Yeah. I met Joel when I was 27, and thank God for him. He's just been like my rock, my best friend.
Where'd you guys meet?
Match.com.
Hell yeah. One for the
I
team.
found him.
That sometimes works. Sometimes not so much, maybe. Yeah.
Yeah.
We've heard a lot of this lately. That's cool.
Yeah, that's cool.
So it worked out. It lined up. He was who he was when you met him. It's the
Yeah.
same guy. You're like, hey,
No, it's better looking. I mean,
did you have, he had a way
I like
tighter
it.
six pack
I
in
like
that
this
picture.
like lazy eye thing in my picture, and somehow she still wanted to go out with me.
Because I was a single mom, I had like all these, these things that I would do. Like I would make sure that first they could spell, so we'd text. No, first we would email, and then we'd start to text.
How do you trust anybody after what you've been through? How the hell do you even,
Well, I didn't advertise.
is that even in your head
Yeah.
to trust anything? That's,
Yeah, I mean that's been a consistent and that's been a consistent theme in my life is,
sure.
is trying to trust people.
yeah.
Yeah, but I mean he passed all the tests, and then literally from the minute that we had our first conversation, I knew he'd be my husband.
Hell yeah.
Yeah.
How long ago was, let's see, how long ago was that? I'm not a math guy.
And that was 2004.
4, yeah. Mhm.
Yeah.
Yeah. Hell yeah, dude.
I know.
How long is how long is that? Who's math guy?
17 years.
Damn.
Yeah, so we've been together a long time.
We're wow, good for you.
Plopped out a couple kids. No, we're serious. We're gonna stick it out.
Good for you guys. So you got a 4-kid family too, a
Yep.
split thing. Cool.
Yeah.
Joel's basically the dad. Well, not basically. He's the dad of all 4 of our kids. So.
Did you adopt any of them? Were you able to? Is that a thing? Or no?
Not officially. No.
I was
I
able to get one of them.
mean, yeah, not officially.
I was
we
able
kept
to sneak
talking
one of
about
them.
it, and
I
then
got one of them.
life happened, and
Yeah.
She's 21. She's like, you can adopt me now. And I'm like,
Yeah, now, yeah, you're not a tax write-off anymore.
exactly.
Dude, good for you. So
Yeah.
your kids, everybody's good. Kids are okay. We're doing
yeah.
good.
Yeah, I mean, we've had all kinds of, I don't know how much you want me to jump around here, but like we've had all kinds of. Unfortunately, my older two have been through a ridiculous amount of trauma as well. So, and a lot of that has to do with, my mom and.
She was still around helping with the grandkids.
Yeah. So.
Yeah, you dive into whatever you
Yeah.
prefer, whatever you're okay
I mean,
with.
these are great questions. So, like at 23, I started to kind of really. I was going to a therapist. I was really trying to, deal with the physical abuse from my mom, and at the time she was great. I mean, it was like I'd call her up and say, I remember this, this, and this. And she'd say, yes, you're right. I did that and I'm sorry.
She was owning it?
She owned the whole thing, Then.
Wow.
Yeah. And it felt very healing, It felt like that it was.
You're not living some lie that you made this up, and because that could easily be a thing too, right?
Right. And
you could, oh God, I'm glad she did that.
It was great, except for fast forward to 2019 when we found out that there was a motive to that, and that was that she had married a man that was a pedophile, and that it was to gain access to.
She knew this?
Yeah.
Oh my God.
Yeah.
Yeah. So it's.
So, how did you find out that you the wrong way?
Fucker had a senior moment, and just, before he could, they were getting ready to watch our youngest too, because we were getting ready to go out of town.
You didn't know this guy was anything.
No.
Oh, this is unbelievable.
And he approached our daughter, who's 21, and was like, do you remember anything? I might have done things inappropriate to you back in the day. And then just let it out.
Like Mike dropped it.
That's when we found out, when we were 21 years old.
Yeah. So 2 years ago. Or
When our daughter was 21.
No, she
or
was
19.
She was 19. Yeah.
Yeah.
It just like it
Holy
turned
Moses.
everything upside down. Like for everybody. Obviously, we had no idea that my mom had been keeping this secret, that that he had raped my daughter when she was 2, and then had done some other things to her when she was 5. Yeah.
Wow. And you found out just barely.
Yeah, in 2019.
They never talked to you. They never come to you and told you about anything.
Well, my daughter, when she was 5, we were out of town, and how you just check in with the kids, and she had said to me, Mom, Terry kissed me on the mouth, And
This is the
Step grandpa.
Yeah.
grandpa.
Yeah.
And almost immediately, my mom and Terry both, were saying, oh, I'm so sorry. Terry usually kisses his kids goodnight on the mouth. And it really wasn't until she was 19, after Terry had approached her, that we found out the whole story.
The kids were good growing up and didn't have any.
No.
Kids struggled.
I mean, because dad was kind of in the picture.
But couldn't tell you why, and never really come to life.
Well, no. So
what made him start talking about it? Why did he even bring it back up?
Honestly, I think it's probably a senior moment. That and
Oh, you said that. Okay.
earlier in the year, because he'd had a significant amount of pain, I was having him microdose on psilocybins, and I think that the plant medicines had a lot to do with.
Truth.
Yeah, absolutely exposing it, and we're grateful. It's taken 3 years of dealing with grief and rage. There's been a lot of emotions the last 3 years just over this one kind of revelation in our family. But like, I'm grateful. I'm grateful for the disclosure, and I know my daughter's grateful also to know what's happened to her body, so that she can heal as well. But it was just very traumatic.
All right, so you guys are working through it right now. Then you with them, are you guys trying to patch things?
No,
over done. Okay, good.
No,
We have a lawsuit.
How about? Yeah, as you should have
Yeah.
more things than that.
We just gave him.
That's horrible. Yeah. That's so horrible. How? Oh my God. How about your kids? Yeah. How about your brothers, sisters, whatever you had? Or are they?
Oh, it just was.
Are they okay? Like.
Well, we don't know how many of the grandkids he's accessed. Like, we have no idea, and they're not talking. I mean, like.
But they've watched all our kids.
Yeah.
I mean, because they're grandparents, right? You're thinking grandparents are safe.
Well, and he's
Yeah,
molested 2 of his daughters. We didn't know that, so he's.
one of his kids'
And one of-
daughters.
one
as
Why
well.
isn't he in prison? What?
It's a
Yeah.
really good question.
Or
Because,
dead? Like,
Yeah.
Well, he's not going to die till this lawsuit's resolved.
Oh,
I'm pretty clear of that.
yeah. Oh, man, that's sad.
Our judicial system is fucked up. Like what happened to my daughter when she was 2 years old. So we did file, criminal reports, or we did try to. The incident that happened that he admitted to at 2, even with a full confession from him, because my daughter doesn't have any direct memories, they can't press charges.
She was so young.
Yeah, and the one that happened at 5 had a statute of limitations.
What does your mom say about that? This piece of him kissing her. She
admitted it all.
She said again owned it though, huh?
She owned it.
What
but,
the hell?
But going through this whole civil lawsuit that we're going through right now, I mean, just pieces of shit. Like it's been nice again for the disclosure to see really what kind of monsters we're dealing with. And
How young is this man, old man? How old is he?
I don't know. He's 82.
Oh, fucking really?
Yeah.
So prison's not even going to be a good. That's too bad.
Yeah. Well, we don't have any active criminal cases because, like I said.
Oh yeah, she don't remember.
So it's just a civil case.
That's too bad.
Yeah.
What about your mother? Like, there's nothing there either. You didn't press. There's
we
no.
tried. We tried to hold her accountable for, knowing. Yeah, knowing.
Statute.
But there's. Yeah.
So that's why, right? Is that why it's important to talk, right? Don't be quiet. Is that a lesson in that? When if you can remember to say something, How do people?
I mean,
how come you never screamed or told everybody in the world? Or did you?
That's a really great question, and I've thought about that a lot. Like, and I think that when you're a child, you think everybody's being treated this way. It doesn't occur to you to ask your friend, "Hey, does your mom, beat the shit out of you and throw you down the stairs and smack you when you're in the shower and starve you?" You don't really think
it's
about
normal. You just think it's normal.
Dad's a doctor. Everybody's thinking they're well off.
What in the?
It's just hell in their house.
Yeah.
Dude, that's unbelievable.
Yeah, it's crazy.
Yeah, I didn't. Wow. What?
Yeah.
That's not cool.
Yeah, it created obviously, like I'm, a very different person now, very functioning.
You're very calm. You're happy. You seem so happy and like life's okay. You have every reason to be the opposite of this.
Right. And I really was determined, even when, before I healed, I was very well aware of the statistics of what kind of person I should be. And I made a conscious effort on a daily basis not to be that until I found alcohol. And then it was just kind of a slippery slope.
How long did you stick in that little nasty spot for?
I mean, it was the better part of 10 years. But the last, 4 or 5 years were probably the worst.
All day, every day.
Yeah, it was on my mind all the time. Yeah. But then when you have PTSD, like legit PTSD, you have regular stressors in the world, and things trigger you, and it's a play rewind of your trauma constantly. And so towards the end there, I had a 16-year-old, a 14-year-old, a 7 and a 3-year-old. And just to give an example, like my 3-year-old would say spill milk on the table and on the floor, and I'd be on the floor completely disassociated out of my body, thinking about what my mom,
you had spilt it.
Right, exactly. Like, being chucked across the room and then grabbed by my hair, and I would, she'd use me to clean up the mess.
Oh my God.
Yeah.
That's
sorry.
No, please.
I was gonna say, did that happen to her? Is that why she acted that
So
way?
when I was, the story gets even more bizarre. Like, and I'm happy to talk about it, but
please, it's up to you. Yeah,
it's bizarre. But
I think we had another instance. This Mary Beth we had on too. Same thing where she was taken advantage of as a young child, and from an uncle and all these other things. And same thing though. She talked, but not like loud enough. And the message I keep hearing is like, "But God, it's normal. You just think it's normal, man."
Yeah.
That's so. Yeah. You just gotta have good friends and hopefully communicate. You're too young though. A lot of times, huh? You don't. I'm just trying to go there. She
wasn't really aware.
You just
PTSD.
You're just normal. You think that isn't life.
Yeah.
How fucked is that?
Well, when you're from the ages of 0 to 7, you're in this theta wave brain state, which is like this very imaginative brain state. And whatever is going on in your life
It's
from 0 to
just-
7 is the imprint that was made on you. Like you're literally being programmed as a human from 0 to 7.
Yeah, they say all our behaviors at that point are fairly concreted as well. I think
Yeah.
by the time, at least, I think 9 at the latest, that's your behavior.
Yep.
And it's
Who you
really,
are.
really, really hard to undo that.
Right.
It'll take a lifetime of work, but 7 years to create, right?
Right. Exactly.
How, look at you. You're great. This is awesome.
Well, it's been 8 years, almost 8 years that I've been healing and using psychedelics.
And you were going to say something right before all that, too.
I was just gonna say. So you had asked me about my mom.
Yeah.
And so when I was 12, the beating stopped because my mom got on a whole bunch of psychotropics. So I think they had her on lithium and probably some other mood stabilizing drug.
So she had mental illness for sure.
Yeah, for sure. And then started to see a therapist who was a hypnotherapist, and she began to recall memories that she'd been satanically molested, even to a point where she said she'd recalled a memory where she had killed an infant. Now, whether or not that's true or not, I don't know. I have no idea. But it adds another layer to how bizarre the story is. And I have an aunt and uncle, so her, brother and sister who are equally messed up.
Are her mom and dad around ever?
No,
They were
my grandparents are dead. Yeah, she accused my grandpa of being her molester in the satanic cult, and also my great grandpa.
Damn.
I know, it's crazy. It's crazy. But
Why you broke it, bro?
Yeah.
Good for you.
Oh,
Like
yeah.
you sheared that off.
Yep. Healing
Damn,
ancestral trauma.
that's unbelievable.
Yeah, it's an incredible story. I sometimes look back at the story and go, Jesus Christ, like this was my life.
I can't believe you're standing there.
Yeah,
That's scary, man.
Me too.
So you have all this, you meet him. So this is kind of where I figured you met him, and he's starting to help, and it's time to heal. You're thinking it's heal time.
Well, not really. Joel and I have gone through our own.
I mean, it was 6 years later of, just a good marriage, fucked up marriage, good marriage, up and down.
Did you know everything? Did she tell you everything at
Yeah.
that point?
Mm-hmm.
She was candid about that. Huh?
Yeah, I mean, where the story kind of took a turn is, you want me to tell that part? I was listening to Joe Rogan, and he had some dude on, and they were talking about PTSD, and I was like, holy fuck, she's got PTSD.
Just by symptoms and the way.
Yeah. So I showed her the podcast, and she watched it, and she was like, holy shit, I got PTSD.
No, it was that conversation between Rick Doblin that owned Maps.org.
Oh, yeah.
You had watched the podcast, and then he had name dropped that Rick Doblin. So
Yeah.
there's
You were pulling. You tied that to her though, just by the way of
Yeah.
how it all went down. Wow.
So he hands me this laptop, and he's like, and this is after I had gone on a crazy bender. He had gone out of town. I just got drunk really bad, and so I was in a really bad and low place. He puts his laptop, and he's like, just watch this. Within 5 minutes, they're talking about men and women coming back from war that have severe cases of post-traumatic stress disorder, and how 85% of them had healed from one dose of MDMA, which is really the synthetic form of psilocybin cubensis.
This was where was this at?
This is on a website called maps.org, and it's an incredible website filled with an incredible amount of
Were these people
information.
going out of? Where were they going? Where was it?
Like Johns
here?
Hopkins. So these were actually
Okay.
Clinical trials.
Yeah.
So they're doing that.
Yeah. With MDMA, they're not doing it with psilocybin. They do
Well, no,
it
they've done it with psilocybins, ayahuasca,
Yeah.
lots of cannabis.
now, but at the time.
Oh yeah, no.
So
no, all the time,
that excited you. You're thinking about it.
Yeah, well, at first I paused it and I'm like, are you really suggesting that I take a Schedule I drug? Here I had bought into this belief that I was an alcoholic and had an addictive personality and all this bullshit. And so I was like, really?
Let's go do more.
Right?
Yeah.
I'm like, are you crazy? And he's like, listen, just watch it. And so hour and 45 minutes later, crying the entire time, connecting to the fact that there might actually be something that could help me, because allopathic medicine, Western medicine, had just horribly failed me. Between the talk therapy that was crap to the, all of the, antidepressants and drugs and things that they tried to put me on, nothing worked. So the idea that there was hope, was, very exciting. And then here I had been in counseling since I was 17, right? No one, not one time, even in my adult life, had said, hey, by the way, you might have post-traumatic stress disorder, and a complex case that even borderline psychosis, because that's really what I was doing, was I would get triggered and then go into a crazy psychosis.
Yeah, you start cleaning up milk.
Yeah.
Damn.
Yeah. And that was happening daily, like daily it was happening. I was constantly being triggered, constantly disassociating, and I just wanted to die.
And you don't even know you're there, really. You're like doing the motions of whatever you're doing, huh? You
Right.
just check right out of it.
Yeah. Just completely in my head, completely in my trauma, not even present. Yeah.
Damn.
So we tried to find psilocybins, but we didn't know drug dealers. And when Joel finally found some, turns out they didn't like growing them because people would, quote, have a bad trip. And so this was like October, November of 2013, and we were in the thick of just a bunch of drama in there's a whole other,
The ex-husband.
yeah. So,
God, how much?
so
It's just fucking nonstop.
It just keeps going. That's why you guys are so interesting.
yeah, so
I love it.
my ex-husband married a woman who had an older teenage son who molested my daughter, the one that was also perpetrated by my stepdad from the time that she was 7 until she was 13. And so we were in the process of holding that perpetrator accountable.
What is going on here?
Yeah, and it's ancestral. It literally like
Is it really? Is that
yeah, I think so. I think it's
what?
just
It's a genetic thing. Is that what you're suggesting?
or epigenetic is the term for it.
No kidding. Like
Yeah.
it's not good.
You got to clean your shit up or it gets passed on to your kids. I mean, really is what. you
Yeah, I
experience.
guess so. I mean, right. Like I said, I guess you chopped it off kind of thing was my feeling was you've stopped this.
Yeah, absolutely.
I guess that's how it would stop. I don't know, but that's so, hopefully your kids are so okay
Yeah, I mean,
as they age and have families and all that stuff.
really,
We
really.
took the one daughter to Peru, so
Yeah.
we fixed
Oh,
her.
here we go.
Yeah.
But
Okay.
we can go there later.
Yeah, we're going to go there.
So,
So
I mean,
we have problems and we got to fix some stuff here for sure.
yeah, it was a ridiculous time, but we won all of our court cases in January of 2014, and I just wanted to die. Like at that point, it wasn't anymore if I wanted to, it was I needed to die. And at this point, I had been watching all these podcasts, everything that I could about ayahuasca and psilocybins, which there wasn't a lot of information out there, you know. There was this one podcast I watched with this dude named Aubrey Marcus, and he had been talking about his latest experience with ayahuasca. And one of the things that he had said was that you could die, like you could literally have this experience
From the trip, from the experience?
and it just stuck in my head, you know. It just was one of those things kind of in the back of my mind of, wow, you know, it just excited me. I know it sounds crazy,
No,
but
yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, God.
yeah. Yeah. So come to
So either way, you're good. You're just ready for this.
Yeah,
You're like,
so-
I'm going to grow or not, and I'm
Well-
okay with it.
at first I thought he was crazy, and I was like, I don't know who the fuck would ever do ayahuasca, but I was okay with psilocybins, which are basically magic mushrooms. Yeah.
Okay.
So fast forward to just a couple months later. It was March 29th of 2014, and I left the house to kill myself for real. And a lot of people don't understand. You know, they talk about people that commit suicide as being cowards. It's not true. Like you have to be in a certain mindset, and that honestly kind of warrior up to do something like that. But I had a good plan, which sounds really fucked up, but I did, because all my other plans, I couldn't ever really go through with them. It was just sort of my state of mind. And to get out of the house, because at this point, Joel knew that something was really, really wrong. I had a business meeting. So I had a friend who's always taking care of me, and I thought, well, on the way out, I'll go do this business meeting with him, and then I'll go kill myself. So I left that day.
Just calmly went through that. You're okay.
I
with it.
really did. It's a weird sensation because I was almost excited about it. I was almost like finally, you know, then my suffering. Anyway, I remember backing out of the garage. This is just kind of like my state of mind and what I thought of myself at the time. But I backed out of the garage, and my 3-year-old little daughter was waving at me. I didn't wave at her. I didn't wave by. She blew a kiss. I wouldn't blow a kiss back because I just didn't think I deserved it. I didn't deserve the love. And anyway, so I go to the business meeting and I killed it. Like, you know, just killed it. And I'm sitting around this table with all these very successful businessmen. I'm thinking, what are they going to think when they wake up in the morning, they realize that I left the meeting and killed myself. And so we're wrapping up the meeting. I flip over my phone. And Joel said, I found your mushrooms. You can take them tonight. Come home, come home, come home.
You give me fucking goosebumps from head to toe right there.
It was some crazy divine intervention.
So you listened, you did it.
I sat in my car for 15 minutes weighing the pros and cons. It wasn't an immediate, like, I'm going to go home. But at the end of the day, I thought, you know what? Like, just one more time. I don't know where I got it, the courage to try to live one more time, but I did.
Damn, good thing you did that, homie.
Just
How weird is life,
they
right?
just appeared. Well, yeah, I didn't know that was going on.
No, that's God. It's
I honestly
beautiful.
didn't know how much she drank. She hit it pretty well. There's a couple of times where like, you fucking smell like alcohol. It's like the middle of the day, you know. But I didn't really.
You were holding it together.
Yeah.
Soldier right here.
Yeah, she was doing a good job.
I'd go to the liquor store at like 10:45. Well, I'd go to the store, buy something, and then get, you know, cash back.
Yeah.
So that wouldn't show up on my card.
So you couldn't tell where you're spending it.
I'm like sitting at the liquor store at 10:45 in the morning, looking around, going, "These poor alcoholics."
It opens at 11. Yeah. Any second.
Oh yeah. Completely unaware that. Hello, I'm also sitting in the parking lot waiting for that.
You ever taken mushrooms?
Yeah. I've never completely tripped though. I've never tripped. I've microdosed.
Yeah.
So I got her 8 grams. We're gonna go heroic.
Yeah.
And you knew it was for fixing. We were going to do some work. It was the idea.
I knew a heroic, like just, you know, listening to Terrence McKenna and those kind of people.
Yeah.
If you're gonna have that experience, you just gotta go balls out. You gotta take the big dose.
And I wasn't afraid because I was going to kill myself that day.
So you went home. You just went home and
I did. So we did.
decided to go. God,
I'm sure we did it all wrong.
No, we soaked it in lemon juice.
You're sitting
and
here.
got
You did a
acidic
great
punch.
job.
Yeah, I did some research. I had it all lined up for her.
Yeah. And then, we did, the way that it really worked is I did half, right?
No, you did 5 grams.
I did
and
5
then
grams.
and then she didn't feel like it was working, so we put up the other 3.
Yeah.
Took them.
Yeah, 'cause it takes a hot minute to work too.
Yeah, for me, it took a couple hours, which is very unusual. I could feel them in my brain, I could feel them in my heart, and I could feel them in my guts. And I remember just kind of sitting there, and I was getting really frustrated. And this was after I had taken all 8, right? Mm-hmm. And I was getting really, really
She's
frustrated.
like, I'm the 5% it doesn't work on.
Right.
I'm like, just wait.
And I'm actually now at this point, like, plotting how I was going to kill myself. And I was really pissed because I thought that they weren't working for me. And I was pissed that here I'd had the courage to do it earlier in the day, and how long was it going to take, and anyways. So I'm going through all of this, and then all of a sudden this basil plant that I'd brought into my room began to breathe. Like
Breathe?
I could see it breathing, literally taking a big...
It hit you. Here we go.
Yeah, and it was just the most iridescent, the most beautiful thing I'd ever seen. I got up, I started looking at it, sat back down, and then it was like I got hit with a ridiculous amount of love. Like, love in every pore of my being. And, you know, I don't know how mushrooms work with other people. I'm gonna talk about it like they talk to me. Same with ayahuasca, like it talks to me. Even though it doesn't, it's really like flashes or pictures of perspective that are just loaded with information, if that makes sense. But the mushrooms told me, they said that it wasn't any love. They said it was the love that my family felt from me. And they were just redirecting it back at me. And it was really important because it literally slammed me back into my body.
How long did it last for?
About 5 hours.
Just it felt so good. Felt loved and
Well,
happy.
I mean,
and
the whole experience lasted for about five hours, you know.
of good stuff. It was all exciting and good for you.
They were funny little fuckers. Like at one point showing me pictures of inside my brain. They were showing me that my synapses were atrophied, that my synapses were curled, and that they weren't able to discharge into the receptor sites, which is how we, you know, process trauma. And this is this play, rewind, you know.
It's showing you the problem.
They were, and it was so funny. At one point, it was like this mushroom man, and he was in my brain, and it was like a bunch of extension cords everywhere, and he would like unplug this and go,
Holy shit.
this doesn't belong here. This belongs here. And what's this doing here? You know, just like cleaning house.
No guidance. You did this. Nobody guided you through
Yeah,
that.
Joel
I just sat with her.
Yeah.
Like,
That's crazy. That was in there, right? With what you've been through.
Yeah.
Because I've heard it every which way, but without somebody kind of guiding you into this thing, that's really cool.
Yeah, my whole journey has
It's
been
your
like
brain's like, hey, fucker, all we got to do is this. Right? And you're going,
Yep.
because it's really you talking to you, right? That's the idea is you're just seeing what's happening inside there.
Yeah, it was incredible.
Damn.
It showed me, they said that it had taken a minute for them to, basically connect to me because they were reaching out to the other plants to kind of come up with a treatment plan. And they showed me this picture of what I know now is mycelium and the mycelium network that the plants have. It was fascinating. At one point, the mushroom said, you need to go see, quote, the Lord of the plants. And I knew that was ayahuasca. I don't know how I knew. I just knew that was ayahuasca.
So when you come out of your mushroom thing, did you feel okay? And
I felt incredible. And I just didn't know what had happened. I had never, ever studied psychedelics. I didn't know anything about psychedelics.
did it flip anything for behavior and any of this stuff?
Yeah, that was the craziest part.
Consistent, or was it a consistent change? Did you know?
Yeah. So like the next morning I woke up and the first thing I noticed was I made my morning coffee, which was usually coffee, Splenda, and then carnation creamer, right?
Heading right into vodka.
Yeah. Yeah. I just skipped the vodka that morning.
Right.
But
used to be. That's what I said.
yeah. And the first thing I took a sip and spit it right out. I'm like, this is disgusting.
What?
Yeah. I was like, what is going? So I made a new pot of coffee, and for whatever reason, like I couldn't drink the creamer and the Splenda anymore. And so I remember sitting there on the couch, like, what the fuck is going on? Like, why are my taste buds changed, right? So then we go to Joel's mom's house, and his mom was obsessed with me. She was like, what? She's like, have you lost weight? And I'm thinking, I saw you like 3 days ago. No, I have not lost weight, you know? She's like, there's this light behind your eyes. And Joel at this point's looking at me like, did you say something? And I'm like, no, I'm not going to tell, her that I just did psilocybin.
You're glow. It's made you glow.
Yeah.
You're glowing. I have
she,
goosebumps.
just by the
all over
way,
my
she
body.
literally stopped drinking with no withdrawals.
With no guidance
Well-
through any of that. You just...
Well, the psilocybins kept me numb for like a week. So later on that day, and this is not a side effect that everybody has. It was just something unique to me. I have heard that a couple other people have had the same side effect, but we'd gone to Mexican food and I was trying to eat like a shrimp chimichanga, which just sounds disgusting at this point, but I couldn't eat it. Like it tasted rancid. And since then I've not been able to eat meat. So
You found out things.
yeah.
Was the milk one like you lactose intolerant or something? It showed you, or
It's chemicals.
Yeah. It was,
it's telling you what not to do, right?
Yeah. And so my first, I'm going to call it a download because I don't know how else to
Yeah, like
describe it.
absolutely.
But the first download I ever had was stop looking at the nutritional information and start looking at ingredients. Basically, if you don't know what it is and if it has sugar, stop eating it. And I did. So I lost like 85 pounds within like 3.5 months.
Damn.
Yeah. I mean, I've kept about 65 of it off.
Dude, you look awesome. What the?
Thanks, I appreciate that. But
This one trip fucking programmed your brain.
yeah, it literally kept me numb for a whole week. So I had no withdrawal symptoms, which I should have.
Yeah.
No, I didn't even want to.
Damn.
Yep. And then it wasn't until, I don't know, I think it was like June or July, and I had a relapse. Had some vodka, and at that point I knew I needed to find an ayahuasca center. And for whatever reason, for me, it was really important that I go to Peru, that I go to where the plant was being grown, where the plant was discovered. And so I found a place and I had to send in like an application. It was called Spirit Quest. This was in Iquitos.
Is it scary to like go through? I'm gonna do this. That didn't scare. It scares me thinking about how to plan it. Like
it really didn't.
Who to trust or
It scared me, but
like how do you know?
Yeah,
I don't know.
I'd submitted my application and sent my $500 as to reserve my spot, and then turned to Joel and said, "Are you gonna come with me? Like, are we?"
I had a fucking job at the time.
Yeah, dude. What do you?
I quit my job.
Kid.
I went with her.
Yeah.
I'm like, you're not going by yourself.
You
But
Wow.
it was like a twofer for me. Like,
So that how many people do they have? So how many will they schedule to this thing?
About 30.
Okay, so 30. You're going. You're like, I'm going.
well, we're staying in the middle of the Amazon jungle on the river.
It's an awesome
Like, no
experience.
shit. Like,
Fuck, let's go. There.
all the critters, you know, like, sun goes down. It is loud as fuck with all these bugs and things running around and spiders dropping from trees. And yeah, it was real. Like
So
a
you-
real
how
experience.
soon were you on the next flight to get there? How quick was
It
it,
was
the
like
plan?
October. So this was,
A few months.
yeah, we had a couple
So you were
months.
excited. You're so excited.
I felt like I had done it before. I'd felt like that this was something that, you know, was really resonating in my
Yeah.
heart. And again, I had Aubrey Marcus in the back of my head, you know, talking about how there was a potential to die. Now, it wasn't exactly like it was more like and I'm not, you know, like a Christian term, like a born again type of thing. But I was really interested in that idea that you could surrender the self that you used to be and be something completely different. It was a huge curiosity of mine.
Wow.
Yeah. It was also the scariest thing I've ever done in my life. Like the
Tell
whole
me all about
yeah,
it.
well, the whole trip there was incredible.
How long
right?
does it take to get there? Is that a big deal to get there?
No, it's not. You fly into like LA or Texas, and that's like a 4.5 flight.
Oh, okay. So
Yeah.
that's cool. We get there.
You get to Lima, which is their big airport. And then you take a little puddle jumper to Iquitos,
Another little plane.
and then you get on a boat
You got on a boat.
and go up the river.
This is real, you guys. You're not
The Amazon,
You're,
yeah.
you're tripping. I would be so goddamn
From
scared.
West Jordan, Utah. Like,
You knew what to plan and pack and all that. Apparently.
we overplanned it, overpacked. Yeah.
Okay, so you go on the boat. Here we go. Now where are we going?
Yep. So then we go to the Spirit Quest Sanctuary. So we basically go to this big thing that looks like a huge tree house.
Really?
Yeah, it was really fun.
Yeah.
Yeah. And, you know, there was indigenous shamans, and then there was the gringo shaman. His name was Don Howard, and he passed away last year. So,
No, it's too bad.
yeah. But it was, you know, you're with a bunch of people from every corner of the earth.
Is the idea, do they have the same ideas? They're healing things, trauma things? Or are they getting coping
Yeah.
skills? What are they doing? What's everybody just doing it for different reasons, perhaps? I don't
Yeah, I
know.
mean, some people were there just because they're psychonauts and they just wanted to have that deep experience.
Just, okay.
But I think most people had a trauma or
So
something.
people are going there to work. They know their intent. I
Yeah,
guess,
ayahuasca
the
is
idea.
not fun. You should probably get that out of the way. It's
God,
not
I've
fun,
heard it.
but it's
It's
life changing. It's worth it, but it's not fun. It's not like
Okay, take us through it.
it's not like we take a small dose of mushrooms. You're like, well, the colors are bright, and I want to love everybody.
Yeah, this is pretty.
Yeah, no, it's not. It's not like that at all.
No, you're,
Purging and how does it go?
yeah. So we had the place that we went to. It was four ceremonies, or you know, so 4 different days of ayahuasca at nighttime. And then,
Is it a drink? Do you
yeah.
drink it?
Yeah.
Yeah. So it's ayahuasca is the ka'api vine mixed with a leaf called chacruna, and the two, it's an MAOI inhibitor, so that you can then digest it, and that's what gives you the psychoactive experience.
How long does it take after your first drink of it? Pretty fast.
Everybody's different. So some people vision. I didn't vision. So I've actually worked with ayahuasca 17 times now. I've been back to Peru.
Holy
I've been to
hell.
Peru 4 times, and I've worked with ayahuasca 17 times. And it hasn't been until this last time in 2020 that I went that I actually had visions.
Seriously?
Mm-hmm.
So what was it doing to you?
It was, I guess you could say, working through my heart and my emotions and helping me to reconcile emotional trauma in a non-visual way. In hindsight, because my nervous system had been so burnt out, if you think about it, the amount of trauma that I'd been through just from the ages of 0 to 12, right? I mean, my nervous system was fried.
Nothing there to, yeah.
Yeah, and so I think for me specifically, to have visions would have just been overwhelming to my nervous system, and I think the plants knew that.
But you can still hear, it'll talk to you and things that way too, or
Yeah,
you just
I
feel
mean-
it through your body.
Yeah, I mean, like for instance,
You just don't see.
and a lot of the medicine isn't actually in the cup of ayahuasca. A lot of the medicine is in the integration of ayahuasca. And so they say, the shamans say 1% of the medicine's in the cup. 99% is when you get home and you do the real work, which is the integration work. And they're not fucking around.
Right.
So, I mean, I in a gist, that 8 days that we were there, I learned how to forgive. how to have compassion, how to accept, my trauma, and start having unconditional love for myself.
You tell yourself all of this, or do they guide you through that? Talk to you,
they
teach
did
you these things, or
So, like for instance,
maybe that's something you don't share. I don't know.
No, I'm
curious.
I'm so.
Are you
happy
talking
to
the
share.
plants or
the experience? So how did you figure this out yourself, or did somebody teach you compassion, talk to you and show you these things?
So everything that I have learned has come from within myself.
Gotcha.
I walked in to the whole psychedelic experiences and working with plant medicine as more of an agnostic, almost atheist individual. And after that 8 days, I was definitely not agnostic. I believed in a higher power. I mean, these plants have consciousnesses. These plants know more about us than we know about us. They work in a completely different dimension, if you will, or frequency, however you want to see that. Really and truly what psychedelics do is they put you in a chemically induced trance state. So you can walk around in your subconscious and unconscious minds. Everything, I mean, it's what is that? That analogy of the iceberg, where you see, 5% of the iceberg above the water, the other 95% is under the water. And it's just like us as humans, we have all these metabolic processes that are happening, respiratory rate, all of the cardiovascular cellular divisions that are happening inside of our bodies that are subconscious, unconscious processes.
But you do it yourself, though. I was aware. I thought people kind of walked you through things with like speech and like stuff like that. You just do it yourself.
A good shaman just facilitates.
You're just there to be there, man. That's intense.
Yeah. It is intense.
Damn.
And it's
kind of shitty because if you don't know what you're getting into, you don't know what.
Don't you get so sick? I've heard you get very, very ill.
Yeah, there's a lot of puking.
Yeah. I mean it's
and pooping.
Yeah.
That's
different.
You just purge, right?
You purge, yeah.
Crying.
It's like an energetic purge, but it literally comes out of you. Yeah, you can cry. I mean, you feel like you're shitting snakes.
They just keep you hydrated and alive and let you go through this. For 8 days you do this.
Well,
go ahead.
I mean, so the ceremony takes place. I mean, just to kind of walk you back, you get there, they kind of explain how everything goes. You actually make the brew. They want you to kind of infuse your energy in the brew. There's a tobacco called mapacho. Mapacho interacts with ayahuasca. So you learn how to use the mapacho, you do some mapacho ceremonies. Come the night that it's time to take ayahuasca, you basically stop eating, I don't know, like noon, 1 o'clock, and you just kind of chill for the day, meditate. Then the whole thing takes place in what's called a maloka, which is this giant octagon room, right? And you can have a chair or a mat or whatever. You wait for your turn. You go up there and you get a cup. The shaman figures out what you need and you drink it and do some mapacho. And that's it. Other than that, after you drink ayahuasca, the shamans are going around singing what are called ikarus. And it's this music that actually kind of guides you, honestly, at least for me.
Like a chanting kind of a thing?
It's a singing. And the indigenous shamans will tell you that, like 1,000 years ago, they didn't give the ayahuasca to the people that they were trying to heal. It was a shaman's brew that they would take, and that it was the Icaros that actually had the healing power.
Damn. Yeah. So it's cool. It probably sounds so cool.
It's intense.
It's amazing.
It's in between
he's doing
songs.
The guy's doing it, or he's playing that. Is that?
Yeah. So
he's singing it, or is he?
Yeah. So there were 3 indigenous shamans,
and they're singing.
And they're singing.
Yeah, they're singing in their language, and and it's
God. Are you
totally?
I'd be so fucking scared. It's not scary, huh?
Oh,
No,
it's
scary.
fucking terrifying
dude, that
before that
freaks me
first
out.
cup, man. Like she was having
shaking, getting the cup, like holy fuck, we're doing this.
I spilled some on
I'm
my
very
shirt.
there.
I'm like trying to drink.
Just trying
this
to be there.
Sludge. I mean, it tastes like shit. It tastes like
Coffee
really.
with
It only
bark.
takes one of your drinks, and you're good to go for that ceremony, or
Yeah, for a good 4 or 5 hours of intense ceremony, and then whatever happens back at your room.
and then you go back to your place, and you can go through your head. Damn.
How much research did you do to send that $500? Weren't you scared about like getting scammed?
That's
yeah.
kind of,
well, so back to that Aubrey Marcus guy. and he's a good friend of Joe Rogan's. And so this is how I found Spirit Quest, was that Aubrey Marcus had been talking about how his mom had just gone to Spirit Quest. And then I read everything I could on Spirit Quest, and they were a healing center. So they had a very brutal screening process to try and screen out like psychonauts and things like that, people that were just trying to do it just for fun. I really wanted to make sure that it was a good center, and then a lot of it was just intuition, you know. And I feel like I was being guided, for sure, in a way to go to the center. So the center didn't scare me. The night that we had to drink the tea, I mean, oh my gosh, like, you know, the biggest fear I had though was I going to have to replay my trauma?
Right.
Like, was I going to have to see my mom beating me as a baby, or all the other things that she did to me when I was a child? And I actually asked the shaman that, quite panicked, actually. I think it was quite panicked, you know, and he was like, you know, ayahuasca is only going to show you what you need to see. Like, it's not going to re-traumatize.
Oh my God, I'm shitting right there. That would freak me out.
Yeah.
What is it? So did you have to relive some of this?
No. So it was interesting because I didn't vision.
Right.
And so the first night, a lot of it was just opening up my heart. Like, I had no idea my heart was so shut down. I had no idea I had like almost like this crazy calcified, like really.
And how to even open it. This helps you open it somehow.
Yeah, it
that
did.
Is so cool.
And I remember the next morning waking up, just like checking my pulse. Like,
am I dead?
Is my heart still there? Because I hadn't realized that I could feel my heart constantly beating.
Are you guys interacting while you're doing this?
No.
You're just very quiet and just.
Yeah. Aside from the symphony of people vomiting, I mean, like.
Oh, I thought you went back to your room.
Oh no, this was in the Maloka.
Okay, and you're all in there together.
Yeah.
God damn.
Yep.
Yeah, it's actually very cathartic, you know, and you're opening your heart to all these other people.
You're vulnerable,
that you hear.
and
It's kind of beautiful. We're all working on this together,
Yeah.
you know, and it's
I can see that.
just, yeah. I mean, it's just this like warrior moment, you know.
Yeah.
I mean, some of the stories we could tell you that people went through, it's just.
But nobody's speaking or anything. Everybody's just in their own like trance like state, and is it dark? Is it dark?
Yeah.
It's
Pitch
very dark.
black.
Pitch black.
Oh, pitch black. Okay.
And you just hear the jungle, man. The jungle's so loud.
It's
Damn.
You got bugs that sound like alarm clocks and dogs, like
frogs.
bugs that sound like dogs.
Can you see are you outside? Can you
No.
You're indoors, but you can hear it.
But it's a massive Maloka with like a grass top on it, you know, but probably like
Pure darkness.
75 feet round, you know. It's
Well,
big.
because with psychedelics, you know, your eyes dilate.
Okay.
So you're really, really, really sensitive to light.
So he's just in there just chanting, and you are tripping balls. Did you get super out there? Did you see visual stuff and
Mine was all
hallucinate?
visual. Yeah. When
You don't feel like you're even there. Like, it's hard to explain it, huh? It's not a...
I mean, no, mine was, you know, my first cup was, I saw a radio and it was being tuned. It was, you know, like I was kind of having my frequency tuned.
Damn.
You know, and it was intense.
And it makes sense to you as you're going through it. You can,
Yeah.
you understand what's
The
happening.
crazy thing was after this, so after every ceremony they do what's called a talking circle. So you kind of all get in a group and you kind of talk about your experience, and we all try to help each other out and kind
Gotcha.
of and
Understand what happened.
my impression was I didn't take it seriously, and I better fucking take it seriously right fucking now. You know, when I saw what I saw, I was just like, I also was like pretty much atheist, and I was like, oh shit, this is powerful. This is a big thing. You know, it's just hard. It's hard to explain what you're seeing, but it's massive.
Yeah, how you can't even put it that. It's not even into words because
Yeah.
you got to go there, huh? Wow.
Yeah.
So after the 8 days, then you completed the 8 days and felt incredible? You just feel horrible after this, I would imagine.
It was so, it blows your mind. So like, you know, second ceremony, I was gifted a perspective. So I guess that when you say, you know, so how did it work with me? It was like perspective shift. So
Okay.
I would sit patiently through the ceremony and nothing would happen. Right. So at this point, I'm plotting my suicide. I'm like, I'm going to go drown myself. And the Amazon is very dramatic. And I was like, you know, why isn't this working for me? You know, everybody else at this point is going back to their rooms. And I went and got a mapacho. So I'm sitting here, you know, basically smoking this mapacho. And I saw the word or felt the word compassion. And I was like, compassion for who? You know, for what? And it was interesting because I'm having all these self-deprecating thoughts. I'm a piece of shit. You know, I should have killed myself. You know, all the thoughts are coming up. And I'm very well aware of all of these self-deprecating, hurtful, hateful things. And then ayahuasca had me look at myself, shift my perspective to look at myself as if I was watching my 16-year-old, or I guess 14-year-old daughter at the time, say those things about herself. And I just cried. I just felt this compassion for myself. Like, how could I ever feel those hateful things about myself, you know? And very quickly shifting that perspective and healing this void in my heart and love for myself.
And it's fairly a permanent thing. Once this switch is, once we redo some of this, it's noticeably permanent.
Yeah, it was noticeably.
Is that a thing?
Yeah, permanent.
Wow.
But then
That's unbelievable.
I got my gift, so I can't. I mean, my third ceremony, I threw up snakes. That was really difficult.
Should probably. I mean, real quick, the way ayahuasca works is it's like a book.
You're like, I should.
It's like there's like
I love it. It's just
if anyone ever offers you ayahuasca, they're like, take one dose. Don't do it
Yeah.
because ayahuasca works in stages. So there's a beginning, there's a middle, there's an end for sure. Yeah. And I don't know. It's, you know, when I went there to be with her.
Right.
And then for me, I was like, well, I don't know. Maybe
may as well clean house while
maybe
I'm here.
something will come up. Like I was kind of a sexual teenager. Maybe I got molested or something. Sure shit. During mine, I got to see, I figured out that my uncle, who was like 6 years older than me, so it was kind of an older uncle or younger uncle, but had molested me when I was a kid.
Are you fucking kidding me?
No, here's the crazy thing though. I had been allergic to poultry and shellfish my entire life, right? From age 5 to age 40. When we went there, I was 40. And I got molested when I was 5. And so I got to see the whole thing play out. And by the time we got home, I could eat poultry and shellfish. Hadn't eaten it in 35 years.
Within
that quick.
But in that thing with your uncle, you see this. That's very vivid now. How
I could feel it.
That is so insane.
I could feel it. Didn't make me see what had happened to me. But I knew.
How do you deal with that then? Then you just go through it?
Fucking rage. Like, I wanted to kill him.
Bro.
Yeah, but like, by the way ayahuasca works is, you know, you probably heard the saying, it's like 20, 40 years of therapy in like a week, right?
Yeah.
That's how it was. So by the time I was done going through the rage and the hate and I want to kill him, I want to just track his ass down. By the time I got home, it was like, nah, something probably happened to him too. You know, and so pretty much there was the forgiveness.
That
and the
showed you that though. That is unbelievable.
Yeah, it was.
It shows you what it needs to show you. He said.
Yeah, and this food allergy. Like, imagine every Thanksgiving for 35 years, you get a special dish, right?
That's
like,
me.
What would it
That's
do?
what got us talking about it.
Yeah.
That I can't eat chicken or turkey.
Really?
Yeah.
What does it do to you? What the hell does that do? Just
Gave me
like swell up your
anaphylactic
throat?
shock. Oh, bad.
Shock.
Yeah, bad.
It'll kill you.
Yeah, I had to carry around an EpiPen for a while until I figured out how to calm it down with breath. I could calm it down with breath and not have to go to the hospital.
No, it unwired that though. You unwired
instantly.
That.
Like, so I could eat
this
eggs.
Is unbelievable.
I could eat eggs, but they had to be scrambled. And the next day, I'm like, you know what? I want a sunny side up. Why not? Nothing. I'm like, what the fuck?
After this trip, you're craving eggs and fish.
Yeah. Oh, I went on a binger. Yeah.
Poultry.
Everything you could. Yeah.
I had chicken fried every way you can imagine.
Why aren't we not seeking this? Why aren't we flooding the gates with this? Why would people not want to is it a huge thing, dude? Is it just
there's a huge community
slam?
Now.
They go.
Yeah. It is gaining some awareness for sure. But I mean, I think a lot of it is just the allopathic, Western medical system has, hypnotized everybody into believing that they know everything and they don't know anything.
Absolutely.
But see, these massive doses of psychedelics, it strips away your programming. So you think about that, you're being ruled by a government that wants you to conform. You're not going to, once this is gone, you see everything for what it is. Like
with lasting.
Oh yeah.
It's
like
there. It reprograms that.
Yeah. Yeah. It's like you got reprogrammed. Yeah.
Yeah.
And you just keep doing it just to keep working. You guys just keep going back.
Yeah,
You said you've done it several times, right?
It's just that it's some like integration. So so integration is basically you come home, you throw yourself back into your routine,
Yeah.
and then you quickly notice that, you've changed, but it feels like everybody around you's changed.
You feel different. You totally feel
Yeah.
different.
You start seeing things different, and
It's not scary as hell.
well, it's scary, but it
Like
was
that's
also exciting.
That's a lot. That's cool.
For me personally, because I wanted to die and because I was just over the way that I was living. I wasn't living. I was just waiting to die. All of a sudden, I had all these curiosities, and I just started following my curiosities.
So it's good. It's hype. You're loving it.
So whatever it was, it was
Yeah.
just opening doors, and it was like
It's unbelievable.
it was like somebody had said, hey, come look in this room, and opened these double doors, and it was like this room filled with, like this room, so much to see. And it's like, well, what's this? Well, what's that? Well, and so I started just following curiosities.
Did you
started
gain any new
researching.
crazy, like, do you like now I draw or something like this? Is there something like that come out of that?
I mean, all kinds of stuff.
Is it really? Really,
Yeah,
dude, that's super cool.
You also
man.
get a bump in intelligence.
Yeah.
for
For
sure.
sure. Yeah, you can consume
Because you
more information.
don't know anything.
Yeah.
We
Well,
think
and for
we know
and for
everything.
me, like my mind
Damn.
was so jam packed full of all my trauma
Yeah.
that when you get rid of that, I mean, you have all the space. I just kept on saying I have all this space, all this elbow room now in my brain.
So you both felt incredible. Come when you're done with it, you're just awesome.
Yeah, a little bit and a little bit lost. Like
Lost.
A little goofy.
yeah, I had some weird things
Yeah.
happen, like throwing up snakes. That was
Fuck, this is fly like it.
I know. Sorry
I know
about that.
really
Like it's winter.
It's warm in here. It's like fucking nice in here. You guys are talking about cool shit.
yeah. And when I say throw up snakes, I didn't really throw up.
This is after the experience.
No, this was the third ceremony.
Okay.
And it was again afterwards, and ayahuasca had said I would have to throw up snakes. And at this point, I'm like, oh yeah, sure. I'm under a psychedelic. I'm sure I'm going to have to throw up snakes. But then I could feel them in my stomach, or I thought that I was feeling them in my
Holy
stomach. And
shit.
she's like, you need to drink your water bottles because they have nothing to swim around in, and you're gonna choke on them. Well, my greatest, like, how everybody has a phobia. My phobia was throwing up. From the time I was a kid, I had a very traumatic experience with my mom. I won't go into details,
Yeah.
but one of the most traumatic experiences was revolving around throwing up. And so, in hindsight, what ayahuasca was doing was, to complete a trauma cycle, you almost have to get back into, your nervous system has to get back into kind of that same state. And
Yes, like start over, kind of.
yeah, and then to complete it, and so that's what was really going on, is that it was like this, amp up into this nervous system, I don't know, trauma that I'd had, and so it was basically playing around with my mind to get me into this fight or flight state, and it ended up with a purge that I've never purged before. Like, it was the most ridiculous throwing up experience I've ever had in my life, but
And snakes.
but it was, yeah, and I actually heard a plink 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 in my purge bowl, and then at that point, I mean, I guess I did a little bit vision at that point. I was in this pattern world, and I saw all these like very, very cool patterns every time I closed my eyes. It was very, very interesting, and I was just sort of distracted at that point by the pretty colors,
What's the idea of the plink, plink, plink? Was that something, or just
Well, I mean, like,
was that
yeah, I think it was like implants. I think it had something to
like
do with
nonsense?
yeah,
I threw
Shit.
up black goo.
yeah,
But it's basically things that you need to get rid of. Is the
yeah,
idea? It's,
yeah.
and this
Gives you a full body purge.
Yeah.
It's like a cleanse. I mean, ayahuasca. What does it cleanse? Primarily your liver.
Yeah, all of your mucosa organs. So like your
It's a
liver.
detox.
and it's it's a lady. She's a lady.
Yeah, she's
right?
a lady.
She's a lady.
It's
the
a
mother.
lady.
I heard you
energy.
say that. That's
Yeah.
dude, that is so crazy.
Yeah, yeah. Anyways, and then the fourth ceremony, I got what I wanted, which was to die. I died twice. I left my body twice, and I'd never ever heard about an out of body experience, or astral projecting is what they call it sometimes too. But I had this crazy experience where it was afterwards, and I went back to my room, and I started getting really nauseous, and I was trying to like throw up. I'm like, I got this. I can throw up. I threw up snakes. I can do this. And it was really loud and clear. Ayahuasca was like, nope, you're not gonna throw up. And I remember, this is TMI, but I was sitting on the toilet, and the jungle noises were so loud. I put my hands over my ears, and it was like I'd put like a space helmet on. And all of a sudden, all my nausea went away. And I brought earplugs with me, silicone like swimmer's earplugs, put them in my ears, and I knew what was going to happen. I laid down, put the blanket over me like I was putting my body to rest, and I had a guide with me that was showing me how to throat choke, not swallow, because that would slam me back into your body, and I just sat up out of my body, and I went somewhere.
Damn.
Yeah, I did it twice. Well, in between, ayahuasca said, "Show Joel." So I woke up and I grabbed him.
It worked for me too.
Yeah, and I said, "Put
it's
him
like
in
sensory
yours."
deprivation, right? You just you close your eyes. There's no sight. There's no sound, and then your frequency's so high, you literally get up.
You guys can communicate probably without even saying anything at this point, I would imagine.
Yeah, we did.
Her and I. Oh,
You just like
fucking
touch and you can like feel it. God.
It's getting weird.
Oh, right now? Yeah, now it's weird, but
Man, keep going. I love it.
Yeah.
I love it.
Yeah, so that it was so interesting because I went there, to deal with trauma. We went there to deal with trauma, but that last ceremony sort of opened me up in a way that I didn't know you could be opened up. I didn't know that a human could do that. I didn't understand that. And so I went home with a lot of questions. Like, what was that? I had a full spiritual awakening. What does that mean? What's out there? I'd never really explored my spirituality. I'd been raised in a religion that I see as a cult. Well, most religions are cults. But anyway, I just, I started following my curiosities.
Can those questions could drive you mad too, right? Was it troubling? Too many questions? I know who I am, and I would wonder if that would drive me mad, not being able to understand what I'd done.
It messed me up for a full year. 2015 was
That's scary, man.
blurry to me. Yeah, I had to figure stuff out.
Sure.
Yeah, but it was weird.
But everybody's experience is their own, for sure.
Yeah.
For me, everything became very serendipitous, very synchronistic. All of a sudden, I had really, really incredible things happening in my life.
I wonder what the more thing is. If there's a good outcome or bad. Yours is great after a year. Hers is great right away.
Well, I think for me it was traumatizing. I was just trying to...
Yeah, the uncle thing and all this stuff. What is going on here?
That, and it's just, again, like what she was saying before, you feel like everyone else changed, but it's really you.
Right.
So trying to figure out how to deal with it now that I can see everything from a different perspective. You literally are seeing everything from a different perspective.
Everything's calmer. You guys everything's just different for you.
I mean, sort of, like it's hard work. Like,
yeah.
Like, it's just a lot. I don't know how else to put it other than every day I would work on, something. I was open to new perspectives. But again, like I come from a space where I hated my old life. I wanted to die, and I really did feel like that when I left my body that, that something else came in. I don't know how else to put it, but I did not identify any longer with my trauma or my pain. I very much enjoyed the heart opening. I very much enjoyed this connection that I had to something greater than myself that would show me perspectives that would not only give me a better understanding of the human condition through my own experiences, but also show me how there was another way to feel through those perspectives.
With long-lasting result.
Yeah.
That's unbelievable.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
That's cool.
Yeah, life's become magical since then.
I don't like that word, but yeah.
I do.
How come you don't like magical?
I don't know. I don't like that word. I just...
like my thought
that.
paradigms had changed, so like, it just, things feel synchronistic sometimes, I'm just open, I just try to be open to
How many times have you went and done it? Like,
I've gone twice. So I've done it 8 times. Yeah, we've done that. And the second time both of us went, we didn't go together the second time. It's just hard because we got kids. And then we started having issues with family because we changed so much. But the second time we went, we did this other plant called Wachuma, which some people call it San Pedro. It's kind of like the South American version of peyote.
Okay.
But it's they consider it like the grandfather plant. And that's kind of like that plant really helps you kind of finish off any sexual trauma you had. It's good for that. And so that's why I wanted to go back, because I still felt like there was things left to work on.
And it's another 8-day process.
Well, so you do ayahuasca, wachuma, another plant called vilca, which is kind of like straight DMT, and then you do something called bovinsana, which is this plant, this flower they infuse into a tincture that just like fucking inundates you with love, like much love. Yeah, a lot of cool. There's just so many great, plants.
This is the second experience, though, right?
Yeah,
and it's an 8-night thing again.
No, it's 12, I think, right?
It's a multi.
It's more like 14 because it's like 8.
So you do ayahuasca and then wachuma right after that. Gotcha. They're separate from each other. Yeah.
It's a whole nother experience.
And wachuma happens during the day.
Yeah, so it's very different experience.
You go hiking in the jungle a lot.
Oh my God, while you're puking and shit?
No. Wachuma, your senses are elevated.
Okay, so you're not sick
it's just fucking beautiful.
Wow.
It's like you're connecting
HD.
to earth. You're connecting to the water. You're connecting to the sky. You're connecting to, air. You're connecting to humans. We got to go hiking with the different tribes that are literally living in the middle of nowhere, and it's just, you just feel connected. It's
These
like
people just guide you around and you just look at every damn thing.
Yeah.
Because everybody's probably silent, just in their own world, loving it.
Oh man. Yeah.
God, that's so cool.
Yeah.
Fuck, I want to do it. I'm scared to death.
Wachuma is an incredible experience. It goes very well though with ayahuasca. It's good to take them, I think, back to back.
Why is it illegal here?
Well, you can't make money on healthy people.
That's not a good enough reason. That's why it's illegal, because it's a pharmaceutical thing.
Well, I don't think you can control people either.
Well, you can't patent a plant either. So like in the psychedelic community right now, you've got a bunch of big case studies, but they are trying to synthesize things. So like you hear MDMA, you hear about ketamine.
Yeah.
But what they do is they take away, they've isolated just the alkaloids that they think are producing the healing, the psychedelic experience. But there's all these supporting alkaloids that they take out, and they very much need to be there. I don't recommend anybody do ketamine. I don't recommend anybody do MDMA. I think that...
And that's big right now, I think. They're doing ketamine,
and that's legal.
Clinics and...
Yeah, but psilocybins are still illegal.
Unbelievable to me, for sure.
There are some people that have found some loopholes in the United States, like in Kentucky. This guy he's a character, but he was a Vice that did a thing.
Yeah, it's
Kentucky,
an awesome documentary.
Kentucky ayahuasca, and so he has a legit ayahuasca church.
A legal running shaman guy.
Yeah.
Yeah, he's
in Kentucky.
Yeah,
that's kind of unassuming.
Unexpensive.
Shame on me,
too.
but
it's not expensive. Oh, he's a hee-haw dude, man. He is like
just a wild guy.
Yeah, he's a hillbilly. But I mean, he's healing people.
It's beautiful. I think it's beautiful.
Yeah.
His documentary, it's like a 6-part series on Vice. If you're curious about ayahuasca, it's a different version. We took kind of more the indigenous in the jungle version and not in the Kentucky version.
Yeah.
But
head to the hills.
The results are the same.
Yeah.
This is changing people's lives. It's rewiring you. And you said you have a light. You can see it. You're very who said that to you? That she looks different.
My mother.
Who the hell is that?
Yeah, she just kept saying, you got a light behind your eyes. And I'm looking at her like, how do you know that?
Anyone from my past, though, because they knew what a colossal train wreck I was. Like anyone from my past, like for instance, I just reconnected with a sister I've been estranged from for 10 years. And her words were, you have this countenance. She's like, you have this...
Countenance?
Yeah.
I was like, what is that word?
It's a religious word. But
okay.
It basically means, light. You have this different countenance, this different light,
Aura.
Yeah, aura. I have a different aura. One point...
Look at that. Simply feeling better inside is doing this to you, right?
Yeah.
That's what's happening.
Well, at some point, and I think this is my draw to continue to work with psychedelic medicines, is that you at some point are so aware of your neuroconnective pathways that I can rewire and have rewired my entire brain. And the coolest thing now for me when I work with the psychedelic medicines is that there are neuroconnective pathways that have never communicated before in my brain that I am now opening up to being able to then communicate, if that makes any sense.
And you're already established, right? It's not like you're doing it as a child naturally. You're
right.
So
I get to reprogram myself.
That's even trippier. Yeah, that's
which is definitely very interesting.
How often do you work now with all of this? Is as often as possible? Is it
well?
time thing? How do you do that?
So I take my work with the plants very, very seriously. So ayahuasca maybe every 2.5 years, because that integration period is incredibly important. We went to Peru 2014, then I went back 2015. That was too soon. I shouldn't have gone back that soon.
That was how long did you say?
It was from just a year. So the first time that I worked with them was 2014, then 2015. Then I went back and in 2017 worked with ayahuasca and then wachuma, and then I did a plant dieta, which is basically you only eat one plant, which was bobansana at the time, and you sit in silence for 7 days. And that was
serious?
Really difficult.
Damn.
Yeah, that was really, really. I saw a perspective of my ego that that was.
Do you trip? You're visual tripping when you do that one?
No. It's all for me. It's or at least until this last time when I went back in 2020 with my daughter. It's always been just a very emotional. I learned after the 2014 experience to connect to this that we all have, to our soul, right? To this higher power, and it's an inner teacher,
Absolutely.
So I've really learned how to listen, and to pay attention, to be aware of the flashes of perspective. I don't know how else to describe it. It's like pictures. It's like like when you're going through your photo album and you see a picture of yourself when you're a kid. You're like playing with the hose, and what the sun felt like, and what the
yes,
what the hose water tasted like.
Yeah,
things
you
like
just smell everything.
Right.
Yeah,
so
totally.
That's what it's like for me when I connect to this higher power, is pictures.
Damn.
Yeah, but they have all the sensory information in there, and sometimes it takes me a while to articulate, and then I integrate it.
Wow.
I know. It's creepy.
Well, it works, right?
Works for me, yeah.
You're like, you guys are, it's working. I think it's incredible.
Yeah, so I mean, as far as quality of life is concerned, like I want to live.
Right.
And
then you said you've taken somebody else with you at some point too?
Yeah, so I took my daughter. So my daughter that's also had the ridiculous amount of trauma. And we went to a different center this last time called the Temple of the Way of Light, and I really would. That's been a great center, but we did a women's retreat. It was 5 cups of ayahuasca over 10 days. It was an incredible experience.
How does she? Is she good with it all? Loves it? She's
it's been really, really, her integration has been really difficult. Integration after that first time of ayahuasca is like coming home and having the universe tip you upside down and hold you by your ankles and shake you to death, because it's everything that you thought that you knew you
right.
don't.
That's what I'm concerned with for myself.
Right. And it's like
it would freak me out for sure.
It's a crazy centripetal force in your life. But like if you think about it this way, if you're on a path and a trajectory in your life that you're not very happy about,
right,
you need a centripetal force to just knock you into a different path,
And hopefully you have the coping skills to handle life when you come back here, right?
Yeah. I was lucky because for whatever reason, again, I connected to this thing within me quite quickly to help me integrate. But there are all kinds of psychedelic, integrators.
So is your daughter going to do it again sometime?
I don't think so. I think she's good for now. She's pregnant, so she's
okay.
Yeah, where she's.
But it's helping. It's helping.
Yeah, big time. Especially the first year after ayahuasca. I mean, then the pandemic hit, and things like that. So, life was just difficult as,
anyway,
forever.
They literally got back before they shut down the Peru airport.
That's even more of like a walking into a zombie apocalypse.
I'm like in Salt Lake going,
where the fuck is everybody?
Yeah.
Nobody's here. We're all home hiding.
Yeah. So that first year was really brutal for her, watching her try and course correct on her life. And but now she's in a really good place. I love hearing her wisdom. I love hearing the ahas. The mom. I was just thinking about this, or just trying to sort through her own trauma and find peace. She's such a sweetheart. She's such a good girl.
She can actually talk about it now, because trust me, for 7 years, it wasn't because we didn't ask a lot. We asked all the time,
right,
trying to figure out what was going on because she was off.
To help her. Yeah.
Going back to the people.
cut herself.
Yeah.
And, at one point she wanted to be a boy. She was just like all over the place. We were just like, something's going on, but we couldn't. I mean, if she's not going to talk, what can we do? We had her in therapy. Like, we're trying all these different things. She can talk to you about it.
What can you do? It's a great question. You don't know. Like, you went through it, right? You don't know. Well, so did you. You didn't have a fucking clue.
Yeah.
You bottled it up. Trauma.
Yeah.
It was tight in there.
I just wrapped it up into a food allergy.
Dude, that is crazy to me.
Yeah.
Well, it's brain damage.
That is scary. Like, that's scary true to like everybody. Right?
Yeah.
But like
some of our health stuff there's reasons for it.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
I mean, when I tell people this story, I'm like, I wasn't re-traumatized, and I don't think people should be scared of that. I think it's more important to get yourself on track. And
how is it that it's so convincing in your head that happened? I'm not doubting it.
I could
I'm
feel
questioning
it.
you.
I could smell
That's
it.
so crazy.
The funny thing was the timelines lined up. My mom was pregnant with my twin sisters.
So you asked about it. You come back and talked.
No, I came back and told her about it.
And how did that go?
I became allergic to poultry. November. So we stayed with my mom was pregnant with my twin sisters. My mom she was bedridden, had to stay at my grandma's house. My grandma could take care of her. My dad was working all the time. So we were little kids and we stayed at grandma's too. And that was in the summer. By that Thanksgiving, I was allergic to turkey. So when everything played out in my head, in my ceremony, I could see it. I just could see it. Again, I don't know what happened to me, but I don't think I need to know. I just know what happened. And I came home and
it's crazy.
I bought a bag of chicken. I sat down with my mom.
He like had it in his backpack. He's like telling her the story.
In my mind, this was like
backpack.
in my mind, this was a brilliant way to show my mom that I healed.
Right.
Then I had to say, and your brother molested me. But she.
How's that received? How did that?
I mean, I don't talk to my parents anymore. So like my relationship with them is strained, and a big part of it is because I've changed and they haven't. And so we just don't resonate anymore. It sucks.
Is that where it died then? You didn't confront anybody else with it, him or?
I wrote him an email.
Did you?
Yeah.
Did he say anything back to you?
No, he reached out to my mom. Gotcha. And then they hashed it out. And I mean, she basically didn't say he denied it. I didn't ask a lot of questions at the time.
And you just leave it there, and
I'm good.
You're healed. You've healed this.
I'm good. Yeah, I could see him on the street, and I'd be like, whatever.
It blows my mind that that can do that to your brain. That is fucking amazing.
It is. I mean,
and scary.
The rage I felt
and everything.
Yeah, the rage I felt was intense. But that was after ceremony 3. After ceremony 4, I was just like.
But when it happened, that's kind of I'm so visual. You're actually believing it when you're doing whatever it is you see, feel, whatever. You believe it's real. You know it's real. You're like, this happened.
I was back in the room.
I'm pissed. What? Like you can feel. Damn.
I was back in the room. I'm looking at it through my own perspective.
That scared the shit out of me.
Yeah.
Correct me if I'm wrong, but it's like you just remembered. It's not necessarily
like it just turned on. The light come on.
It's like someone
but
from
I was
your
taken back.
Right, but it's like someone from your past, reminding you of something that you just forgotten. Like, oh yeah.
But you don't shoo it off to the psychedelic experience. You like it's a very real.
There's nothing psychedelic about it.
That's what I'm kind of asking. I'm sorry.
There was nothing like.
It's just real. It's part of your thing.
Yeah.
I think that's one of the biggest misconceptions about psychedelics is there's so much focus on the hallucinations. There's so much focus on visions and visions and visions.
It's just part of it.
Yeah, and we do something in integration called somatic processing. It's a lot of what people do in dream work too. So, say you did have a vision, right? A lot of it is let's get back into your body and think about what you were feeling, because the visions don't necessarily mean anything. The visions do.
Right.
It's all about what you were feeling. The visions are trying to help you get back into, again, some of these trauma loops that you need to complete so that you can be, a much more grounded, healed individual.
It's crazy all that's inside of every one of us.
Yeah.
And
you store it.
Have you done any of this?
No, that's the whole thing is we were talking about it, and I was like, I kind of want to try it just because of my trauma. And we started talking about how I'm allergic to poultry and a bunch of other things, and he said that sometimes comes from trauma, and then we started talking about what's happened to me, and I don't know. So I come from a different place because unlike you, I've never had a time where I've not wanted to live. So that makes me fearful to try it. That makes me fearful to try anything because I've always wanted to be here. So it's a different perspective.
I'm afraid to try it too. Why?
Yeah, but
Isn't
then
that's-
there's, like she talked about the curiosity. I'm like curious what I can heal within myself by trying it.
Well, I think there's great relief in confronting the fear of our mortality. I mean, there's some great relief when you realize what you really are. And part of what, those psychedelics or they call them entheogens or plant medicines do is to help you really get a good feel for really what you are,
And I was always under the impression that this was somehow guided from somebody where they talk to you and so you could just do it.
You can do it. I mean, you can do a medicinal dose
Without-
of mushrooms without.
See, that scares me too. Like I said, I've microdosed. I've done LSD a long time ago. I just remember seeing and hearing crazy shit. But I think intent would be everything with tripping, right? I would imagine. Even if you do mushrooms now, I'm scared to even trip. I don't even dare. I don't even dare.
We take our setting very serious.
Yeah,
we
in-
prep
there-
and
that's-
make sure you're in a safe place, and make sure that if you have other things on your mind, they'll manifest within that trip.
Right.
So, I had a day where I was just fucking nervous, and it all came out.
You go through it. It drags you through
I felt
it.
like I got stuck in some sort of in-between land, and I had no idea what reality was, and I panicked, But it all, once I calmed down and it all came full circle, then I was able to, have the experience. Like this one experience I had on mushrooms, it was really me. I was trying on my family's meat suits, if you will, to try to understand why they act the way they act, especially towards me, And that was a very profound experience I had, because then all of a sudden I'm like, oh, okay, well, no wonder my dad acts like that. Like, because I took all the things he told me about his childhood and I felt it.
Sure.
So,
And and that's lasting still. You can, it's helped. You guys are, it's helping you rethink. You now know.
Dude,
I'm going to look at it from his side real quick. You'll slow down and do that before you'll react to something or.
yeah.
sometimes it feels a little bit like a superpower because
That's kind of what I'm getting at.
You
Yeah.
kind of have like this pause, where like
Ego don't talk. You're like, think quick.
Well, so
think
I mean,
quick.
that's the interesting thing about the plant medicines is that by, healing myself, I started to learn some things, like that I only see in others what I have within myself that I was projecting on people. So my judgments of people actually say more about me than it does about anybody else. And so I started to become like really aware of that. Like with other people, I'd go to the grocery store and I'd listen to two women talk about another friend they had in common, realizing that they're both just telling each other who they are by projecting onto this woman that wasn't there. And I started doing these exercises where, like specifically, like Joel's been such a great teacher and a great mirror for me. So I'd be frustrated about Joel and I'd go home and I'd write down everything, like just unabashed. So I wouldn't censor anything. And then I wouldn't ask myself if I felt that way about me. I'd say, why do I feel this way about me? And as long as I worked with honesty in my integration, I was able to kind of flip perspectives and find this, satisfaction within my emotions. It was able for me to do the inner work, is what I call it, really get in deep.
So it really plants a few really good tools in you, and then you come home and go to work with them. Then it's kind of how I understand it.
Yeah.
You're still responsible always for everything, but that's the idea it gives you. And here's all these tools now, and go use them.
It's hard work, right? There's I still now lots of tears, lots of crying, lots of, I don't want to say struggle, but it does feel like struggle, but like this year I had a huge aha moment where I realized that I've never been wounded. Like I've never been traumatized or damaged, that I've always been whole, that other people have projected their state of consciousness onto me, but that me personally, I'm whole. It was a huge aha for me, realizing that, again, other people's judgments, that's their business, it's none of my business. And all these perceived barbs that people had put into me, my mom, other people that have abused me, that type of thing, that I kind of let it go. Like they can keep that. I'm whole. I've always been whole, and that quickly threw me into a crazy identity crisis, because I'm like, wait, I don't identify with being a victim or a survivor or a healer.
Right. Who am I
anymore.
now?
Yeah.
That's
and
really fucking crazy.
yeah, and it's been interesting, and you know now we could talk about some philosophies or whatever that I have, but now it's what I want.
Is that where you are? You're
Yeah.
just right there. You are who you are right now.
Now I'm more curious about this higher power, and kind of more or less going with the flow, like allowing it to express, whatever it wants to express.
Damn.
Through me, in whatever way that is, without giving it the resistance that I've always given it, if that makes any sense.
It does. I could go for 17 hours on it because has it changed you guys as a couple? Do you to where
It was really important we
Dumb
went
question.
together.
Yeah.
At least the first time.
where it's even weird. Like I don't know, where it's like different, a new person.
we had to figure out how to communicate.
That's exactly
Yeah.
okay.
But we have a bond that,
Wouldn't that be some shit to find out, right? That you don't like each other. I wonder if this is
That
a thing.
happens.
yeah,
That
Like,
happens
dude,
to
this is
people.
the wrong shit. We both know this,
yeah.
right?
But you probably knew before you went. It's just now it's
But you-
blaring in your face,
Yeah.
And it's ever changing. I love that. I think
Yeah.
that's so
Ayahuasca
cool.
is one of those weird things that I think about a couple times a week, always. It just comes
How
up.
often can you do it to be healthy? And like, I mean, do it all you want.
I mean,
but
that's
what's every couple of years is the idea.
I mean, I know people that do it every year. I know people that do it every 6 months,
Oh, wow.
and that's their journey, and I think you got to find what rhythm works for
Sure.
you.
Sure. And it will tell you that, right? It
Yeah.
probably tells you
Or-
this.
yeah,
I'm
you
like, I need to
figure
go
it out.
back. It's been 5 years for me. So
Yeah.
So it feels good. You love
I
love
do.
that. Go in there
I
and
love
work.
the results. Yeah, the results are.
What about health? Does it do anything for health? Do you notice?
Yeah. So
What-
oh my goodness. So this is sort of my forte, is that I've always been fascinated with like the biochemistry of the body, the physiology, the anatomy, like just about everything about the body, even in high school, I was fascinated with it. And so for 7 years, all I've been doing is studying everything that you can about, the body specifically, what we need nutritionally. Yeah. So I ferment a lot of the foods. I make everything that we eat is pretty much from scratch. I'm a really good cook. I've always been a good cook.
As soon as we got home, we checked out of Western medicine.
Yeah. So we haven't been to the
I haven't been
doctor
back.
in 7 years.
Good for you.
Yeah.
And she makes tinctures.
And salves and liniments and
None
all
of our
kinds
kids
of.
have been to the doctor. Nothing.
And then it just happened. Like you
Well-
work.
She bought the
Yeah.
books and then
Working through
researched
it.
it.
Yeah.
and-
I've just been very,
This opened you to all
very
this.
curious, specifically
cool.
about. It was like at one point I'm like, well, there's all these other plants, these botanicals. What do these botanical medicines do? And they're so powerful. Herbs,
Teas and-
botanicals, and every synthetic medicine. So like every pharmaceutical medicine is actually a derivative of these plants. I have a really great friend that I went to ayahuasca with, who's a medical scientist, like a legit one. Went to Harvard, taught at Harvard at one point. I think he did his residency.
Is he still?
Yeah, he still is.
There's
Yeah.
very conflicting. It
But
sounds.
He's like, he was telling us one day, he's like, they have a computer program, or they have a computer site where they have 1 billion different botanicals that are logged. And they're just constantly trying to synthesize them because you can't patent a plant. It's ridiculous, and they know what these plants can do.
And we're mimicking it with chemicals.
Right.
Is
With
the
side
idea.
with side effects.
With absolute
Yeah.
side effects.
But when you understand how the body works,
Because if we keep them sick, then we're gonna need more.
Right.
It's really, really
like
interesting.
our daughter had endometriosis, right? That's not curable. What they say. She fixed it.
Well, yeah,
With internal herbs and things.
yeah, my
Just understand how the body needs to detox.
and just studying endometriosis, you get to a certain point where the doctors are like, we don't know.
Come in
I don't
and
know.
laser it and yeah.
Well, yeah, because they're specialized. So they at the end of their specialty, right? Then they don't know where to go. And my 2 cents is endometriosis is a lymphatic issue. And so I focused on my daughter's lymphatic system. Most people don't even know what that system is. And
the body's sewer system, right?
right. And then and how that moves and what we need to do to be able to, like lymph only gets out of the body through sweat, pee, or poo, right? So most of the time it's urine, most of the time it's pee. But if you're kidneys aren't filtering, then you're not going to be able to move the lymph. And most people suffer from any sort of inflammation. It's from lymphatic congestion. That's what cancer is. Cancer is lymphatic congestion.
There we go, right there, right?
Yeah. And so I focused on that, and then there's some specific herbs for women. N-acetylcysteine, that's a big one, which basically promotes an amino acid in the body. It's called glutathione.
Very aware.
Bladderwrack, which is a seaweed, and every woman should be taking a teaspoon or 2 teaspoons of this per day. You can buy it in just capsules. That's a really important one too. And then just recently, I've been making sea moss. So there's 2 different genuses of sea moss. The easier one to find is the warm water sea moss, which is called Chondrus crispus.
And this whole experience got you thinking this way.
Yeah.
I love it,
Yeah.
dude.
I mean, I can cure it. I shouldn't say cure because, people can come after me for saying cure, but I can help detox my children from ear infections, within 4 hours, just through treating the ears. When you get a sore throat, like just learning things, like just the way the acids and the lymph moves in the body, because the lymphatic system doesn't have a pump, right? We're the pump.
Right.
So gravity takes place. So when you have like a cold and things and your throat starts to hurt, it's not because something's going on with your throat. It's because you've got the mucus, which is an acid that is draining through this eustachian tubes down into the throat. So if you treat your ears, then your throat pain's going to go
My
away.
God, we need to introduce her to Rhonda.
Who's Rhonda? I'm like, who's Rhonda?
We've also abandoned pretty much Western medicine.
Good for you.
I don't know how long ago. Yeah. I'm a very neutral person. I do whatever. I'm easy to. I'm very complex, but I'm very simple as far as all that goes. My wife has health stuff, and we've went to my tattooer Jade, her grandma Rhonda Lewis. She's in Evanston. She's an acupuncturist and a Chinese herbalist.
I love the grandmas.
And she's amazing. She's been on our podcast. It was like a 3.5 hour podcast.
Yeah.
But we go there to do everything. If she can it's the same thing.
Grandma's got wisdom, man.
It's pretty cool. All the healing thing, all the herbs and everything. It's sort of.
But the thing is when you really look at the body as a whole and stop, just looking at it in different pieces.
Yes.
It's actually quite simple. It's quite simple. You just have to know what to do and how to work with it.
Wow.
So like when I was born with a bladder infection. God knows how I got a bladder infection. But they gave me a broad spectrum antibiotic right after I was born. So from then to 6 months old, and then I was on, as a teenager, I had acne really bad. So it was like tetracycline and then Accutane. So my gut biome was gone.
Right.
So here I am 8 years right now into my journey of trying to, work on my health, and I'm still working on, my gut biome, which is like your second brain, and it's your immune system, 70% of your immune system is in your gut biome.
Everything is there.
So lately I've become a fermenting crazy person. Like I'm lacto fermenting everything, and that has improved
Kombucha.
so much. I make my own kombucha.
She makes kombucha.
She does too. She does too.
I love it.
It'll rebuild your microbiome, and right?
Yeah.
It does. It
Yeah.
it rebuilds
She
your.
makes our sriracha.
What is it?
Sriracha.
The
For
sriracha.
sriracha.
Like
hot
Hot sauce?
Yeah,
Really?
fermented hot sauce.
Everything.
Dude, you should have brought some.
I know I really should have. I will.
I got a question. What's your I'm assuming that the family knows now about your guys' journey.
Yeah.
And so you guys are very open with it.
Yeah.
Does that cause any issues? Professionally or anything like that?
Well, professionally, I mean, I really haven't, advertised it to like any of my clients or whatnot.
I advertise it.
Yeah, Joel's the one.
I work with vets, so
Yeah.
I try to get all the vets help.
Yeah. But my family's, it's odd. My entire family is pretty religious, but they've seen the change in me. So they're thinking about what Kami was before and what Kami is now, and I don't think they really care. Even though religiously they're totally against the methods that I've used, and they don't understand.
They work.
Yeah, they do. They work. But Joel's family
People are seeing it in your eyeballs.
Joel's family's been a bit completely different. His family suffers from jealousy big time, and
Mad.
yeah, and they're just very, very angry at the changes we made when we went vegan. Keep in mind, this was a side effect for me. This also turned my life upside down.
And you went the other way.
No, I went
for-
You
vegan.
could eat. You could eat the other way.
Yeah. For health choices.
Isn't that so cool though?
But like something switched in my head.
Right.
You know, I blur the line every once in a while with cheese, but I don't think I could eat meat if I had to. Maybe fish, maybe.
And I would imagine coming back with this new perspective of working through this, it doesn't even matter what they think. You guys are okay with this.
Well, again, you know, people project who they are onto you. So
Yes.
anything that somebody says that's in judgment of me is really none of my business. It says way more about them, you know. And
I agree.
And I've learned to do this in the moment too, where I can almost now hold space for somebody that's judging me and try and offer, you know, something to say other than what they're expecting, because they're expecting you to be triggered.
Ooh, give me an example. What do you mean? I love it.
I'm like, what's an example? Well, okay. Like
So-
our most recent like argument that we had, and I start crying, but it's only because I'm attempting to work through the triggering feelings that I'm having and actually articulate what I actually am feeling, which is, I said to Joel, I don't want to fight like this anymore.
Yeah.
We should be able to, when we're having a conversation and we co-create an experience and something comes up, we should be able to have a conversation about it, almost like popping it up on a big screen, both having a conversation
work
about
through
it
it.
without spending 30 minutes fighting about, you know, what triggered the argument or what triggered the experience. Like, in my mind, this is just how couples evolve, and Joel's great like this. I'm not coming at you, I promise. I'm not.
No, I'm fine.
But in my mind, it's like, let's cut through the 30 minutes of bullshit and let's just accept the fact we just co-create an experience together so that we can evolve as a couple and communicate better.
That's what it's all for anyway, right?
Yeah.
It's there for us when the argument's there to really actually go through it instead of make it different.
I used to spend all the
You said, I said, he
arguments
said. It doesn't matter.
I used
Let's
to
live
just
that.
defend myself and then gaslight.
It's coping
No, it's
skills.
true.
Coping skills.
And then at some point I
I
started to,
guarantee you I do plenty of it as
yeah,
well.
at some point I had this like out-of-body experience where I'm watching myself going, dude, what the fuck are you doing?
You
Like,
only know what you know,
yeah.
right? You only know what you know.
I mean, it was a struggle. I know it was a struggle for her trying to get me on the same page. But once I saw it, I'm like, oh, dude.
What does
why
it
am-
do? Make you more calm? Are you calmer? Are you? Is that the idea?
Yeah, calm, listen.
Actually, fucking listen.
Actually listen. Try to hear her wants and needs, but also like be able to express my own wants and needs.
Right.
Honesty.
So it's give you some tools.
Yeah.
Well, no, just, it's nice. You have a connection. You know, I
Yeah.
have a connection with Joel that I'll never have with anybody else, you know, because of our ability to communicate, because of our ability to work with each other, because of our desire and our curiosities to do it in a different way, because the old ways don't work, you know.
When are we going to do ayahuasca?
Let's go.
Fuck, do you want to go do it?
No, I'm straight. But,
Dude, I'm serious.
no, it's the puking for me.
I know,
And the
that was her
jungle.
too, though.
I think of anacondas. I think of tarantulas.
You be puking them out.
Was the Amazon on fire during this time?
No.
So this is right before. Because the Amazon was on fire recently, right?
Yeah, the Amazon is
How the
huge.
fuck does
though.
the Amazon
Yeah.
catch on
Yeah.
fire? It's the wettest place on earth.
Yeah, I mean it's raining there constantly. Where we were at was really right.
It
on
did
the
though.
river.
It's on fire.
Yeah.
It was,
Yeah.
Damn.
Bad, too.
I want
How the hell?
to.
Go ahead.
I want to talk a little bit, just really quick. Before I forget, about ayahuasca's ability to heal physical ailments. Like we had,
Oh, yeah.
we had someone at the sanctuary that came in a wheelchair from multiple sclerosis.
Don't you tell me they walked away from it.
She did.
Are you fucking kidding me?
And her sister, they were both from Iran. They had a ridiculous, a
She healed
ridiculous
herself.
amount of trauma.
She went in there and fixed it. What?
Yeah, I've known people that have healed themselves from cancer just from ayahuasca. And the thing is that the body, when you have so much trauma, you know,
Yeah.
it expresses itself at some point onto the physical body. It could be nerve pain, it could be MS, it could be cancer, it could be, you know, like the majority of people suffer from, you know, what we call mental illness, which is really brain damage. I really wish I could shift that stigma from people calling it mental illness, because it's really not. It's
Right.
brain damage, you know. So depression, anxiety, you know, those types of things. But like, you know, allergies. I mean, like what else? Help me out here. Is there-
Especially onslaught things, right? That kind of come, or that you're born with.
Yeah.
It's kind of strange how that works. I believe. Are you familiar with the Gabor Mate? I'm sure you are.
Oh, yeah.
Okay, I love Gabor Mate. I'm super into philosophy. I love, I could go for days on all this shit. I love it.
The last place she visited is where Gabar Mote goes.
Yeah.
Damn, yeah, he's an incredible.
So that somatic processing I was talking about, that's actually his method. And the integrator that I work with, that's who she went to a whole retreat. I guess her friends or something like that.
I believe in it 100%.
I
Our
love
behaviors are sculpting what we are.
Yeah.
It's showing physically on us what's going on.
Totally. And I love Gabor Mate's perspective on addiction because there is no such thing as addiction. It's coping.
Agree.
He was the first that I felt like I had downloaded that within myself. And then it was like years later, I heard Gabor Mate talking about it. And I'm like, yes, like he was the first one that was talking about really what, addiction is, which is just a coping mechanism to keep you alive. Like my experience with alcohol was very traumatic, right? And tumultuous, but I'm so grateful I had alcohol. I'm so grateful that that's how I chose to cope.
A fool who follows his folly will become wise. That's all you did.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
That's so weird, huh?
So
and everything's inside us.
I
in
know.
here. It's in here. You just go unlock it.
Or in here.
Or in here, wherever. It's in you. It's in your, we're all gods, right? We're all little gods and everything's inside here.
You mentioned you wish that you could change mental mental illness to brain damage, right?
Yeah.
Are you doing do you have any plans, or maybe are you doing anything in the community to do that? Because your story and stuff, it sounds like it's very inspiring. You got a lot of knowledge.
Thank you.
And it sounds like you should be essentially treating the community. Do you have any plans to do that?
If you only could, right?
I have set an intention I would love to advocate for the plants. I would love to do that. I have struggled with confidence. So just to come on this podcast, you should have seen me. It was like, but I like to walk.
You are glowing, man. Rock and roll.
I love to walk into my fears. Like I realize that in my fears and my wounds, that they're like little portals, right? When you run into them, there's the anecdote. Mm-hmm. There it is, right there.
I agree. 100%.
And so like it was actually kind of like, what was it? A day after we said we'd come, I was like, I don't know if we should do this.
What the fuck am I doing? What am I doing?
I kind of thought you guys weren't going to show up because I was like, I didn't hear from them. But I'm so glad that you did because I've learned so much from you. But it's like I told these guys the last time I was here. I completely believe what you say when you say trauma, it kind of just manifests in different ways because that's what happened to me. Like I got West Nile virus a week and a half after my mom died. Oh man. And I don't even know if it was the West Nile that did it. Like the more I hear what you're talking about, it seems like it could have just been me. My trauma didn't know what to do.
Yeah, there's a book you should buy. Body book.
It's called Go to Peru and fucking do ayahuasca.
Well, that would help. But there's this book.
Damn.
There's this book that every time you have an ailment or so, I don't know how this lady wrote it, but every time something, like the other day, I'm like, babe, I can't stop fucking biting my nails. Please look it up because I hate it. Like, I don't know why I do it. And the definition of why it happened, I was just like, it just like hit me. I'm like, oh my God, that's what I got to look at now.
Once it's told to you it's real, once you look that up, it's a pretty, you can tie to it. You're like, yep, that's real.
Yeah. I don't know how this lady made the connection with different elements, but like I would assume that catching a virus is probably something in the book.
Yeah.
I just think that my immune system was just so beat down.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Sometimes we get sick because we need rest. That's not something that's in our culture, is to rest, to really take care of ourselves.
Yeah, it made me rest. Like I was down for about 6 months, and then my ailments lasted. I mean, I'm still struggling through it, but or working through it.
Yeah.
But it lasted about 4.5 years.
Oh my
Well, the other
God.
belief of that is that you take care of everybody else.
Yeah.
You caretakers, you caregivers, to the end of time, like you and Erica's, get autoimmune things. It's the Gabor work. It's really bizarre.
I would just tilt my head a certain way, or it was weird. Even when I would hug people, my head would do this weird thing. And she explained that she was having the same, she felt the same. If she would tilt her head back, Same thing.
Still does.
I think pain is a lot like a psychedelic because you get to a certain point where I think Erica was even saying this, where you're just like, I just want to die, right? Yeah. And you kind of get to that point where you go so deep within yourself, and you're asking yourself the questions of, what do I fucking need to see already? What do I need to see, right?
Yep.
And the thing is that when you get to that point, what do? You surrender. You surrender. That's really what it is when you want to die, or you're thinking about death, is really you just need to surrender because what you're doing isn't working anymore.
Yeah, probably those first 2 weeks, I said I've never been in a place that I wanted to die, but those first 2 weeks of being sick, I think I was ready to die. But the only thing that kept me here was, I talked about it, my kids. I was like, I have to.
Yeah.
I have to be.
So there's that acceptance, and then you have this acceptance period of time where you're like, okay, well, I'm here where I'm here, and this is happening. So what do I need to see? Yeah. The inner work is so incredible because everybody's having really kind of well, if you want to look at reality, what reality is a huge collective psychedelic experience. At least I think so, right?
Yep. It's all an illusion for sure.
Right. Yeah. So like one of the, well, anyways, we won't talk.
We have our own movies going in our heads right now.
Yeah.
It's very real. Like,
yeah.
You can never see what she sees and I see. And it's impossible. Like, we're all in our own little thing. Make it your own.
Yeah.
Ooh.
My healing came from a lot of, self-talk. Just, I guess, just knowing that none of us are getting out of this alive. And I think I just have to, walk through it. That's all I can do is just walk through it and feel things. I allowed myself to feel those things. And I think that was very healing. It was painful, but it also healed me, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
Thanks. In my life, that's what tattooing is. I think that's why it's so addictive. Mm-hmm. I really, truly do. The pain people go through, the surrender, the vulnerability, and the way I, as a little shaman, guide them through this. It's very simple. They're going through unbelievable pain, right? It's the same thing. It gets so addictive to go through that loop and make it out the other side of it. It feels rewarding. I think it's way more deep than people think. They don't know why they like them, and I think that's why. You're being drugged to the nothing and making decisions. I got to go through this. I got to go through this. It's real. I believe it. Yeah, it's struggle.
I read a whole article about
struggle
that,
you can't control.
About tattoos and piercings specifically, and how that's some people's way of awakening, and how some people deal with trauma that way. Like my daughter, she loves tattoos and pierces, and I didn't understand it at first because I have none of that.
Yeah. Well, a lot of people don't consciously know that's why they want to do it, though.
Yeah.
They just want more and want more and want more. That's why.
Yeah, it's fascinating.
If we understood to connect to that, then you could work that for real.
So this is what I love about the human condition is that it's so diverse. Mm-hmm. It's so eclectic, and it's I love hearing about other modalities that people have found. I tell people when we have conversations like this, it's like, follow your curiosities. What's going to work for me is not going to work for you. There might be something that you pull from what I say, or that I pull from you, or pull from you. But in reality, we're all so individualistic. It's like, just go find, just follow what's going on inside of you and just look there. And your inner self, your higher self will guide.
It's all in
I
there.
believe that because I think that somehow I had something more than, I don't know, just guiding me through every process. Every wall I hit, it was like something was telling me, this is how you heal yourself. Mm-hmm. And I think we all are capable of healing ourselves. We just have to listen to what.
Totally understand. I totally agree.
Hence the word self-improvement. You heal yourself. You don't seek self-improvement. You seek yourself. That's what I believe.
Or self-conscious. That word, that title, our whole life we've been told that's a negative thing. Oh, I'm self-conscious. But when you
better be.
If you look at the etymology of it, self and then conscious, self-aware, yet people run around going, I don't want to be self-conscious. Like, no, you want to be self-conscious. That's
be very aware of what's,
Yeah, but it's like you said, when you go through life and it's almost like you're judging someone for something they're doing, but you really are
judging yourself.
You're judging yourself.
There's so many, you start justifying, we start doing all that thing. That's where all the problems are.
Yeah.
It's real. It's all in there. Listen to it.
There's obviously something that I'm feeling some sort of way. That's why I'm just projecting onto that person. So it's changed just me as a person and my perspective on life and just meeting people. I love people. I have so much love in my heart. It's unreal. It's like beautiful to me.
I love that.
That's cool.
All this talk about plants, nobody's mentioned cannabis once.
Do you guys, are you do you,
Well, yeah.
yeah, you're okay with that? Cool. Do you have your cards in Utah?
No, I just got a dude.
Just got a guy.
Yeah, just got a dude.
And it's something. It's ridiculous. The things that are working
Yeah.
are not they're legal, but it's coming. I think psychedelics are coming too. I really
I mean,
do.
Yeah.
you know,
I
psychedelics.
think mushrooms are right around the corner.
It's legal in Oregon, parts of Colorado,
It should be.
Oakland, DC.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's coming.
Well, the truth is,
Either
is
way,
that
we're doing them.
we're gonna make it legal. Sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt you.
You didn't? No, you're fine.
Yeah, I'm like, we're gonna make it legal. I don't know why we look to, you know, the allopathic, you know, sick care system
Yeah.
for validation over what medicine.
No.
I am a sovereign human being. I have every right to work with whatever medicine I fucking want to work with to heal myself.
And
They
there's
don't-
ways to do it. Just find them.
It's true.
Right?
When I
Yeah.
went to the doctor with
You might just have to go
West Nile-
somewhere else, but you can do it.
Yeah, when I went to the doctor with the West Nile, hearing them say, you know, there's nothing, we have nothing for you. We don't have anything for this. If you believe in prayer, go home and pray. Like, what? You know, that did it for me. That I was like,
That'll get you start looking for sure.
and then they ask you to pay.
Give me your copay.
Yeah. Like my
paying.
ex-father-in-law used to say, pay my secretary on your way out. There's nothing wrong with you. It's, you know,
Yeah.
it's disheartening.
Yeah.
We're incredible. We're
but-
incredible little machines.
But I like this idea, though, that that's breaking down. See, we've always looked outside of ourselves for other people to help us, to heal us. And now what's happening is we're realizing, well, that doesn't work anymore. So we're all looking within ourselves to help ourselves and to heal ourselves. And when I look at the state of consciousness, or, you know, how crazy town bonker shit, you know, batshit crazy it is right now on planet Earth, and I think about the antidote, you know, like, what do we need? Well, we all need to go within, you know. We all have to go within. We all have to do the work. That's the only way we're going to get out of the mess that we're in, and then see the similarities in each other.
And a lot of that work's subconscious work, right? This is
Yeah.
the silly piece. This is
Yeah.
funny. It's just a filter.
Yeah. Well, I think that's why everything's so crazy right now, is that all these subconscious, unconscious programs that have just been, you know, hiding for so long are coming to the surface, and they're coming through people, right? And so it looks batshit crazy, and we want to judge them so badly, and instead we should grab them and embrace them.
Yeah.
You know, we really should. We should try and find some sort of commonality within everybody.
It's true, and I believe the same thing. I believe we project things. We're not watching a movie. We're making the movie. We project our movie,
Oh, 100%.
and then it comes back in here.
Yeah, 100%. I could talk about just that. Like,
Oh, so can I.
yeah.
I love all this. I love all this.
Yeah, one of the things that I don't know what happened, but all of a sudden my mind opened to a lot of quantum physics, and I see a lot of quantum physics.
Ayahuasca happened.
Yeah, ayahuasca.
Yeah,
But I mean, like things like centripetal force or double slit theory, things like that. You know, I have very deep spiritual meanings to me, and I can actually see how, you know, the more I get into the quantum spaces, understand what my atoms are, you know, or aren't, you know, and really kind of traverse that aspect of myself, you know.
Well, it sounds like to me ayahuasca opened. It didn't
Oh,
give you anything. It's give you curiosity to
Yeah,
dig, right? It's
Yeah,
give you that
totally.
tool.
And I can go as fast.
love that.
I had a friend one time say to me, you know, you can turn on that hose spigot and you can go as fast as possible, or you can take it down to a drip. It's completely up to you.
Yeah.
You know, how fast you want to integrate, how fast you want to do the work, you know.
Goddamn fly. Sorry
Yeah,
about
it's
that.
okay.
I'll
Like
kill it.
it was beginning of this year where I took a big time out. It was like I just needed to be human for a minute. Like I just, you know, enough. There was just so much going on in the world, and just trying to, you know, live, to survive for the first few months, I think, of this year, that I sort of took a break, you know. And it's funny how the ego wants to then judge that, right? You know, judge you taking a break, where it's like, no, I can do self-care and rest for a year if I want to.
Yeah.
If I wanted to take a year and just be proud of myself for where I've come, you know, how far I've come, I could do that. You know, there's no timeline. There's nobody that's up in the sky that's going to judge you if you know, do X, Y, and Z. Joel has a great saying about how you're going to get from A to Z regardless as a human on Earth. You know, it's just a matter of how it happens, but you're going to get from A to Z. You can't fuck that up.
And how bumpy we make that bitch, and how,
Yeah.
all the details are irrelevant. Just live it. Be there.
Yeah, but the bumps, you know, the bumps are what make us us. The bumps give us the perspective on human condition that a lot of people, at least the way I see it is that a lot of people have to read this shit in books. I didn't have to read it in a book. I'm living
It's
it.
in you, yeah.
Yeah. So I get to actually experience it. And there's no amount of reading that can have you understand certain, you know, principles or certain, you know, things about human condition than actually experiencing it for
Yeah,
yourself.
I believe that 100%.
Yeah. So my suffering's actually been an incredible gift.
Well, and I'll close out this way, because I know we've probably been going way too long. I don't know. How long we been going?
I don't know.
It's been a while. Are we good?
2 hours.
So I'll just kind of close out. This is my
2
belief.
hours.
My belief with it. Time flies when you're having fun. I have a real big theory on that because we're present. It's weird.
Yeah.
I believe life is it's like water, right? It's like it's a ripply wave. There's top and bottom. Without one, there's not the other. It's just part of how it works. Like there's good, there's bad, whatever that is for whoever it is. Mm-hmm. There's no set nothing but what we make set for ourselves. It's strange how we set up everything for ourselves. Mm-hmm. There's no, just the opposite of this lake when it's ripply and crazy like your mind and wild. Man, when it's clear, you can see yourself in it. When it's not, you can't. So to me, that's what that ayahuasca experience I seen was my mind being a wavy bitch. If you're looking down and off the shore, you can't see when it's wavy. You can't see you can't see a reflection. When it's very, very calm and everything's calm, your brain being in the water calm, you can see yourself vividly. Kind of creepy. The more calm it is, the better you see yourself. Mm-hmm. I think of thought that way. Mm-hmm. But just try to control a thought and see what happens. I don't do that. I think you can't do it. Just trying to think about it will make you fucking mad. That's anxiety. I think that's what anxiety is, right? So don't just let your mind be what it is. Curious. You said everything. And I'll close out this way because I have a cool little saying that I like. And it's, first of all, thank you guys for coming on.
Thank you.
Thanks for having us.
I appreciate all you guys with my whole heart. This saying I made up from in here, not ayahuasca. I just did it somehow. But we only get one shot at this bad boy for the physical part, right? So my belief. And it's just an illusion anyway. Stay present, stay creative, stay curious, and most of all, stay confused.
That's the easy part.
Thanks, everybody.